Yeah, it is a little. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular commission meeting of September the 27th, 2016. We will start off with the invocation by Pastor Don Suriano.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Just a quick thank you for what you do to serve. It's important to God in heaven, and it's important to His children here on the earth. Thank you for your time and your service to the county. Let's pray. Father, we love you. I'm reminded in the Word of God in Romans chapter 13 that talks about government authority being put in place, honored, and blessed by you. So, Father, we honor the men and women that serve our county and lead us and make decisions. I pray that you would continue to give them direction and the wisdom of Solomon. I pray, Lord, you would bless them on every front, their home, their family, their health, even the things that they own. I pray that you would bless the decisions that are made today, and all of us, Lord God, would be in unity and would just act in integrity, those of us that are in the audience. I pray, Father, that you would just watch over us all. Bless this wonderful community that you've given us. I ask that your kingdom would come and your will would be done in Manatee County as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. A couple of announcements. We do have a 1:30 time certain, so we will break for lunch at noon and be back here at 1:30 for that. At this time, please turn off any cell phones, at least the volume. And commissioners, that goes for all of us. I better check my own. All right, we'll go ahead. Dan, any changes to the agenda this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, ma'am, we do have some changes. Item number 15, Community Services Agreement with Manatee County Foundation, that's deferred. Item number 24, Property Management, Consent of Property Owner from Manatee County for a portion of unimproved right-of-way known as K Road. An email from Assistant County Attorney William Clegg in response to request for legal services regarding this right-of-way was attached to the agenda item. And item number 35 on the regular agenda, Financial Management Invitation to Negotiate, ITN 151162 CP Convention Hotel. The development agreement attached to the agenda was replaced with the final executed agreement. And that's all the changes, Madam.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead to awards presentations and proclamations. Retirement Award, Marcia Bacon. Come on up. Who's going to?
Down.
We don't allow any retirements today. So you know. They're not allowed.
If only that was an option.
Yeah,
Too young.
you're too young.
I think so. Good. Too young.
If that was an option, we would definitely take it and keep her here as long as we could. I'll let the chief do the speaking, but one thing I wanted to point out in the very beginning is in the 911 world, there's about an 18% turnover rate across the country. That's even higher than teachers, which you hear continuously about our shortage of effective school teachers across the country. There's also only about a 5 to 7 year career span for a telecommunicator in the 911 business due to the stress, both psychological and physical, shift work, weekends, holidays, and just dealing with the stress of the calls they take. So to have someone who've retired from this business after 30 years is a big deal in and of itself, but to have retired from the 911 business after 30 years is an even bigger accomplishment. It takes someone of no less fortitude than what Marcia Bacon brought to the job. And we've said this a couple of times since she left, and it truly is the end of an era. We hate to see her go. We'd love to keep her, so if we can do away with the retirement policy just this once, that'd be awesome. But I'll introduce our new 911 Chief, Jake Sauer, to take it from here.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name's Jake Sauer. It was hard work getting her back here. She's a very humble person, but I'm recently new to 911. I come from Manatee County EMS for 15 years. So I know Marcia in a different light other than the brief time that I did supervise her. When I first started in EMS, I really didn't know anybody. It was a new career field for me. And one of the first people that I became friends with via the phone and radio was Marcia as a dispatcher here. And one of the things I learned when I moved up to 911 was Marcia was always the trainer of the group. She has lasted over 30 years here at 911, and for all the dispatchers that's come and gone in Manatee County, she is definitely one that's trained and mentored everyone. Speaking to her past supervisors and her current supervisors, there's going to be a big hole left for someone to fill in her spot, and we're definitely going to miss her in 911. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to Manatee County Public Safety and Manatee County Government, the 911 Center, for just allowing me to serve the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is your clock.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Well, you can't go anywhere yet, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize, and you do more than anybody, but when there's any kind of emergent situation, you pick up that phone, 911, you get Marcia. And I've had to call a few times, and you know, it's a very stressful time, and you all have been trained to get the person to focus, stay on the line, give you the information as you're calling the dispatch, you know, for the EMS truck. But I just can't imagine 30 years. That's rare because it is a very stressful. You're being recorded, you're training people while you're doing this, you're dealing with people's lives, getting the trucks out fast enough. So I commend you. I'm a nurse, and I really appreciate all that you held in there for 30 years. And I've probably talked to you off and on throughout the 30 years. So congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you.
All right, I'm next on the board, and I would like to know your secret, truly. You know, to be a 911 operator for so many years and look
The
so young.
people I work with, they're wonderful. They're awesome people I work with.
Is that the key?
That's the key.
Oh, wow, to be
Finally
a,
move over
EMS,
there.
fire,
Yeah.
my coworkers.
Yeah, we need a,
And we finally got you help, too.
She's definitely one that's seen a complete turnaround of 911 from when it started over in the courthouse. They used to just answer the phone and ask what was your emergency and where you were at. And as recently as her retiring now, they do so much. They are the true first responder as far as giving medical instruction to callers. So she's seen the whole evolution of 911. She's definitely one we are going to miss dearly.
Delivered maybe many babies, I bet.
I still have another commissioner on the board, but I do want to say personally from me, thank you for all the years, and that's a tough job.
Thank you.
Thank you for the many lives that you had a hand in saving. So
Thank you.
that's really to be applauded. Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, thank you for all the years that you've served. You know, I'll be stunned and shocked that you worked here so long, and you really don't even look the age at all.
She doesn't.
Thank you.
So you must be high as a
Only
mine.
been on the board.
No.
But congratulations, you got much life left, and you got your family here this morning. And so, you know, I know that you're going to be well and take care of your family and just love people. And I'm pretty sure that the years that you have, which is many years that you inspire other people to do what you've done. You should be a tool for other people to stay here that long. I mean, I
Amen.
believe it's the first one that I've seen 911.
Dispatch,
Yeah.
yeah.
She is the first one from our
911.
division. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's incredible. A
Thank
lot of
you.
patience. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Are we going? Thank you.
Let's go down and shake her hand. I'm only 17.
You look great. Thank you.
Much love to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, enjoy
enjoy your well-deserved time off.
Thank you.
They'd probably take you part-time if you want to train. Did they think of that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, you'd be doing some training, guys. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda, 2017 World Rowing Championships. It's hard to believe it's next year.
Finally. Whew. I know.
Wow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We've been trying to get you all an update for the past few months. So the time is today. And first, I wanted to introduce Bob Sullivan, who is was hired recently by Sanka as the president and CEO of Nathan Benderson Park. The great news is Manatee County government was part of the interview process. So we're excited to have Bob aboard. He will oversee the day-to-day of the entire operation that includes World Rowing Championship. Just a couple tidbits about Bob, and then I'll have Bob come up and say hello. Bob has experience in city government. He also has experience in Convention and Visitors Bureau operation, as well as he is a certified facility executive. So, you know, it was really important to hire somebody who understands venue management. Attaining a certified facility executive status is the equivalent of like getting a master's degree in mass assembly venues. So it's really, really important. It takes several years to attain it. Actually, Sable Perrin, our general manager of your convention center in Crosley, attained that recently as well. So I never had the ability to attain a CFE. So we have good people around
Never too late.
as well. So Bob's a polished executive, and we believe he's going to be a great communicator and a relationship builder. I recently told Bob, I said, you know, you're working with multiple governments, a lot of partners that include FISA and U.S. Rowing, and my suggestion to Bob was manage the process. Keep one step ahead of everybody. If you let all the partners manage you, it's going to be difficult. But if you manage them, we will see a lot of success. So with that, I'm going to introduce Bob Sullivan, and then he'll introduce Meredith Serba, who you've met before, who's the director of World Rowing Championship. As you know, her plate is full, but she has a great team. She's doing a great job, and the region is working in subcommittees in a very successful manner. So with that, Bob Sullivan.
Welcome, Bob.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure being here. I'm a resident of Manatee County, living in Bradenton, so I'm equally proud to be a part of this as well. Very excited to be a part of this group. I think there's a great future for Nathan Benderson Park. I think that the partnership that we put together for the World Rowing Championships is really unique, and I think everybody will be very proud of what happens when that occurs. So I'm glad to be here, and I hope to stay one step ahead of everybody. It's easier said than done, though, I will say. So
Yeah, I bet.
I would like to introduce Meredith. You've all seen her before, but I think my job is easier because people like Meredith are a part of the staff here. So Meredith, please.
Great article, Meredith, in the Observer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been, as you guys are probably starting to see, a lot more excitement coming around as we are officially now 1 year out. So we're on the clock. So many people have been talking about Rio, and the Olympics are now concluded, and now the world has its eyes on us. And that's what we're excited about. So a lot of our efforts right now are really about talking with the teams, getting their all of their logistics and operations ready so they're getting their hotels, they're getting their flights, and they're working with the port and making sure their boats are getting here. So a lot of attention is on us, and we're really working hard to make sure that their transition is equally smooth. I just want to spend a little bit of time today and kind of giving you all the big scope of what is the ultimate plan and where are we. And this first slide is just really to give you kind of the big picture. $25 million economic impact, 60 plus countries, over 2,000 volunteers needed, 1,700 world-class athletes over a 9-day period. It's going to be an intense week, but we are ready, we're planning, we have an amazing park and all the things that are going on there, and we're just going to continue to work for the next 361 days to make sure that it's in perfect play. As many of you guys have heard, we've talked on many occasions about a local organizing committee, which is a structure that we put in place to engage our community, because again, this is a community-wide event. It's more than just the park. It's about everyone from Manatee County and Sarasota County coming together, as actually Commissioner Boss said perfectly last Friday, and bringing all that together to make sure that we shine to the world. We're led by 3 individuals who are serving a place on our local organizing committee as our event chairs. They are corporate leaders in the community that are really serving as cheerleaders. They're out there helping us open doors for partners, helping us on the day-to-day of different ways to kind of get involved in the community. And you'll see your very own Ed Childs from the Childs Group is representing Manatee County. And we have Rod Hirschberger from PGT Industries representing Sarasota County. And then Congressman Vern Buchanan has come on from the government side to talk about how he can help us with simple things such as visas and all the things that we need to do to get our international friends here in town. This is, again, it's just a chart to show you the structure, just so you understand the executive work group, which is the very top layer here across the bottom. There is 2 representatives, one from Manatee County, one from Sarasota County, that are spearheading each one of these categories. Your very own Dan Schlant is helping us on the budget and administration. Elliot is also helping on the marketing and the visitor experience. So we've got a great representation and with both counties working together in harmony. Supported by a staff structure. So that first group I just mentioned are all volunteers from the community who are experts in our community and in that particular area. But taking all of their ideas and making them happen every single day is our full-time staff. And I have a great pleasure of bringing on some teams that are from local and abroad to come in with the expertise in running major worldwide events, in addition to having a lot of that local experience. You've probably seen Max Winnitz, who's from ABC7, who left there and is now a part of our team and helping us really drive the media and getting the attention and excitement that deserves for this event coming up. Many questions always wrap around finance, so I like to discuss how that's being handled. So really at this point, we're in our very deep trenches of fundraising. How we've done that is we've actually hired a sponsorship firm. So with a tight runway that we had, with 16 budgets pretty much already done, 17 budgets were on the map, we were going to a firm that already has established relationships in corporate America and are sitting at the decision-making table. So allowing them to go to these major corporations such as your Tropicana, such as your Ernst & Young or Bank of America, and be able to make those decisions instead of having the time of working up the ladder. So they have an over 500 list of international, domestic, and local partners whom they are going out and trying to seek partnerships from to help us fund the event. The sponsorships range from $10,000 to $1 million. We are going to be nationally televised, so that provides us a little bit more substance when we talk about getting those higher dollar valued sponsors that are worldwide to come in and get that exposure over the 9-day period. We also look at trade partnerships. To me, I come from a nonprofit background. Trade that's budget reducing is just as good as cash to me. So we've actually had quite a bit of different partners already coming on board, exchanging their services and goods to help us offset expenses on our budget. So we're thrilled to start having those things eliminated now, even while we wait for big sponsors to come and play. We do have a private accounting firm that's going to be taking over and making sure they monitor and advise us and observe and make sure that our budget is in working order for both counties to have monthly reports, in addition to us to turn that into FISA at the end of this event to make sure that we are a break-even event at the end of the day. We also have, just in preparation, just because it's important to do, is we have put in contingency planning. So if sponsorships look at a point that they aren't in play, we will start making cuts in relevant areas, not sacrificing quality, but making sure that we hit that bottom line to make sure this is continued break-even event. When we talk about marketing, this is a really fun task. We have our international, domestic, and local. We've spent the last few months really focusing on the international recruitment. So you've heard about us going abroad, having booths, meeting with the teams, presenting at Congress, and at the different events, encouraging and making sure we've got our international friends fully aware of what they're missing if they don't come here in 2017. And I have to tell you, that is not the case. Again, first time in 23 years this event has been in the United States. States, and that is very intriguing for our European and South American friends. They're not just excited that it's in a different place, but the fact that it's not just the United States, but Florida on top of it. So we're looking forward to continuing to capitalize that. And right now we have about 12 teams already booked with their deposit down, their hotels in play, and we expect that to really grow over the next couple months to have a majority of our teams secured by February. From a domestic approach, some of the things that we've been working very hard on is that it's not just about bring it, they will come. In the U.S. market, we've learned, in a lot of my experience when I worked in the MBA prior to coming into the nonprofit side, was really understanding you have to incentivize. And ways to incentivize people and really get them excited, it's about making sure you have things that they will want to come to. So in our domestic approach, we've actually approached FISA, which is our governing body, to allow us to do ancillary regattas throughout the week of the championship when there's no major elite competition going on. So the very first weekend, we're doing a scholastic or a youth regatta and attracting families and youth from all over the country to come in for the weekend. The way we approach it is the fact that, yes, kids are in school, it's September, and if your child is a rower and you live in Boston, will you come? Maybe, maybe not, just to come watch elite athletes. But if they know their child's getting on that course and getting to watch the kids, the athletes that they aspire to be, mom and dad are packing up and coming down to be with us. So we're looking for that to really enhance that weekend. And in the back end of the event, we're looking to actually do a college duel and build upon the excitement and team spirit of, there's a lot of alumni groups here in Sarasota and Bradenton area. So we wanted people that are non-rowers to get behind this just as much. So we're really excited about enhancing that experience. And of course, on the local side, just getting people to understand what this event means, what it means to our community, and really being able to come out there and cheer us on. Tickets are on sale. So we've actually had ticket sales already going. We have 3 sets of tickets that are going out now, which is 8-day, 4-day, 2-day, with covered grandstands at the finish line, beach seats with your feet in the sand, and you get in-seat service for drinks, and then a championship pavilion, which is an exclusive seating on the west bank on the other side of the finish line. So make sure you go on, check it out. We are going to start doing single-day ticketing much closer to the event, but right now we're doing our extended stay event ticketing, so check that out. Special events, all of our activities except for one have now been finalized in regards to location, which is our Nation's Dinner. We're continuing to juggle between a couple different locations. But on September 23rd, our opening ceremonies, it will be a free event to the community, and it's going to be a festival experience that no one's going to want to miss. Concluded by, we're going to have obviously the athletes parade in with their flags, but also a great fireworks show. So it's really going to be telling the story of our two communities. So you'll want to come and share that with us. From a merchandise, we want you all to wear it proudly. We have everything's on sale. You can go through our website, which is www.wrch2017.com. So you can be a walking billboard for us. So definitely check out the gear and wear it proudly. Something that was really important to me, I am also a transplant to the Sarasota-Manatee County area, a Manatee resident myself, and one of the things that I kind of felt was a new person to town, I shouldn't say new anymore, it's almost a year now, but the visitor experience is critical, and the fact that we have 2 counties to cover and lots of places to highlight. We have a visitor experience task force that's been armed, they're both of our Visitors Bureau, getting together and with an extension of other people and identifying key events. So over those 9 days, there's going to be one signature event that takes place every evening. So it's almost like a guided tour for our guests while they're in town so that we don't miss anything, whether that's going to the Bradenton River Walk, if that's going to St. Armand's, if that's going to Anna Maria Island for a beach night, whatever that might be. And I have to say I'm not going to read through all of these, I don't want to go through all that, but we do have a 9-day period of all of our different areas highlighted. So again, and there will be an event app so all of our different guests can follow along and be a part of the action and really give a really great guided tour of what our community really means. Something that's kicked off just this past Friday is our legacy and awareness programming. What this means is even if you're not a rower, there's something for you. And so it's starting right now, and we're going to build the excitement and awareness of this event over the next 12 months. So there's been 5 categories: health and wellness, diversity, sustainability, cultural and international awareness, and arts and speaker series. So there's going to be activities throughout the year that you can be a part of that, again, helps you relate to rowing. It doesn't mean that you have to be a rowing fan. Whether that's if you're a book lover, we're working with Sarasota and Manatee County Libraries. They're teaming up together to do a One Book, One Community event. We're bringing in the author of Boys in the Boat. So if you haven't read the book, you totally need to. But it helps understand. It's a great novel that talks about the world of rowing and help you understand really what's going to be in our backyard next September. So over that, we're hoping to touch over 5,000 book lovers on January 26th as we bring in the author to talk about that and learn and read about the book. So look out for more. There's echo tours. There's all kinds of activities you can be a part of. Everyone's asked a lot of questions about operations, so I just want to assure you that we have an extensive operational task force that incorporates Manatee and Sarasota County members that are covering these different categories: inspection, permitting, parks, transit and transportation, power, connectivity, zoning, medical, EMS, law enforcement, and emergency response. These are key areas. This is the largest task force of all of our groups with over 70 members. They break out into these categories separately, and then we come back together on a monthly basis to report out on the progress. That's working with Homeland Security. That's making sure there's enough Wi-Fi and bandwidth so no one has to worry about their phones crashing. But there's a lot of detail that goes into play here, and we're all over this. This is something that's a big part of my background, but we're working with the experts in both counties to make sure we've got this perfected. You might all have seen this past week, we kicked off officially on this past Friday. Was our 1 year out event. We were honored to have Commissioner Baugh speak on behalf of Manatee County. As you can see her here cheering us on. We had gold medalist Amanda Polk from the U.S. Women's 8 boat that just won gold in Rio. And we unveiled our countdown clock. So every time you drive by Nathan Benderson Park, we all will be reminded by the clock counting down of how many days we have left. So for some of us, it gives a little anxiety. Others, it's exciting. Just ways to get involved. I know the community is hearing this, and we'd love for you to sign up for our monthly newsletter so that you can feel a part of the excitement, feel part of the planning, bring your expertise. We're all ears. We want you to be a part of this, whether that's joining a task force group, whether that's becoming a volunteer. We need 2,000 of you, so please come out and be a part of it, becoming a partner, or simply just following us by social media. It's great ways to just be in the know. So just things to keep your eye out for from the commissioner side, to knowing kind of our steps, things we've accomplished, things that we're looking forward to in the next 6 months. We're going to continue to work tirelessly to make sure that this is a huge success, and we will continue to be in the light of the world and making sure this is something that they're going to want to continue to bring back, not just a one-time great event. So I'll open up to questions if anyone has any questions.
Commissioner Whitmore?
I just have a couple. I had asked at the last couple TDCs ago if you would come, but then we had the hurricane, so that kind of didn't. So we could all get an update. Is Ron Schulhofer, is he still in the logistics?
Absolutely. He is one of our co-chairs of the Operations Committee. So Ron, as well as Rich Collins from Sarasota County, lead the largest task force of our group.
And can you help me, because tell me about the tower. I know we were trying to get a sponsor. I don't know if the tower's going to be, it's not going to be built then, correct?
The finished tower is already under construction.
Grandstand?
And it is the only item out of the bid that we are required to have. So it will be online in February. The boathouse, which you might be
Boathouse,
speaking
yes.
of, is not going to be online for the World Rowing Championships in 2017. However, is not a requirement for our bid. And I don't know if Bob has anything you want to talk on the boathouse side.
The boathouse is a key component for our future successes, and we're certainly going to be pursuing funding for that and try to get that going. I think that it would have been nice to have it for World Rowing Championships, but like Meredith said, it was not a requirement. The finished tower is under construction. It's coming along very well. They expect that to be done probably mid-February. So we are looking at funding for the boathouse, and we really would like to have it in there soon.
And I read in the paper about the diverging diamond. It's set to be done the day of the World Rowing. That makes me nervous.
That's actually, I'm not sure where that came from, but I've been in constant
not accurate.
contact with their group, and they're actually, they said, almost 2.5 weeks ahead of schedule. So I know that's not a big wiggle room, but that was also prior to a set date of our event. So Commissioner Mayo actually just met with their group as of, I think, 1 week ago. He gave me an update on Friday saying we're in great shape. So
They're
feel
2.5
very confident.
weeks ahead of schedule.
Which was
Looking
not-
at August.
Okay.
Correct. So it's not like our September date. It's 2.5 of their
I
original
saw
date.
September in the newspaper, and that's, okay. Thank you for the update. You're the perfect person to be doing this. You've got the energy, and it sounds like you've got it all together. The two co-chairs and then Congressman Buchanan, their role is probably to try to get more funds to sponsor this.
That is correct.
And I think the big push is you need 2,000 volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the highest amount of volunteers you've ever had during a rowing event, so that we know how much more we need to increase it?
Absolutely. And Nathan Bitterson Park has a large database of over 2,000 volunteers that have helped throughout the different events over the last 5 years. So that's accumulated. We, within less than 2 months of launching it, had over 200 already signed up on just World Rowing. So in addition to those that are, which could be duplicates, of course, but this is a very giving community, and we're going to do some strong recruitment, whether that's through the service groups, whether that's through the universities, through the different communities. The Meadows that's right next door to us, they have a huge, we're doing an open house event with them to start encouraging people to be a part. And I really think that probably around 500 is probably the largest they've ever done. And so it is a great increase, but the excitement is around it. And as we've continued to do all these different legacy programming items throughout this year, we're going to engage those that really haven't been a part of rowing. And that's one of the biggest legacies to the event, is really trying to spread the excitement and understanding and appreciation of the park beyond just those that are competing or being a part of it on their day-to-day. So we hope to expand that.
And are you going to train, are the volunteers, just so the public hears this, are you going to have training for them, or you're going to give them assignments and then somebody's going to train them before all this happens? Or?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
we have an online registration system called the registration system. The beauty of it is that we have all the positions. They'll be all listed.
Mm-hmm.
You get to choose what you want to do. You get to choose what time you want to do it, so that it's not someone telling you what you have to do. We've seen that people tend to have a better show rate when they are coming to do something they want to do and it fits in their schedule. With that, they're going to get fully trained. We have 3 training sessions that will take place at the Polo Grill in Lakewood Ranch just prior to the event. You're going to get geared up, so you get clothes, you get all kinds of fun stuff, you get fed throughout the whole time on every one of your shifts, but really because you get to be a part of it. You get to actually help us. We don't exist on our 8 to 9 people staff. It doesn't happen without volunteers. So it is important that we train them. They're the front lines of defense, and they will be prepared, and they'll look the part, and they'll have a good time doing it.
And my last question, languages?
Yes.
How are you going to deal with all that?
Yes, we're absolutely recruiting. That is one of the elements in our volunteer structure. We're also doing an ambassador program. We've actually been reaching out to all the different cultural communities and churches and different groups that have translators. USF has a big program as well, so they've been a great partner with us. And we're going to make sure that we try to have people at the airports, having people at the hotels. We know what country is going to be at what hotel, so if we can have a volunteer at that welcome desk just to help ease their experience, that makes a world of difference. We really don't want this to kind of come in with the American mentality of to speak English. We want to really take it to the next level and show them that we are going to be engaging and give them that cultural experience.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any other commissioners? No. Okay. Meredith, great event on Friday. Bob,
Thanks.
it was
Thanks
so
for being
nice. The sculpture's beautiful, and the best thing, I tell you what, and I hate to say this, but there was an Olympic gold medalist there for rowing that was in Rio, and wow.
She was amazing.
Oh my gosh, she
I know,
really was.
just chills. She had the place chanting USA. It was really exciting.
And she said something that really, I will admit, I mean, she carried it to the next level. It was wonderful. She talked about how, yes, it's wonderful that it's coming to Sarasota, Manatee, but it's also coming to the United States. And that the athletes that were coming were so excited that it was going to be in their country and in Florida. So, the eyes are really going to be upon the United States as a whole which is just fantastic.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure that we'll all be involved in this in one way or another, and we
really
look
am.
forward, and we're very excited about it coming, and it's hard to believe that it's 361 days away.
Absolutely. Well, we can thank you so much for your continued support.
Can we ask for another update in like 6 months?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Come to the board?
I'm
So we
sure
all
that
know what to
Elliot
tell?
will
Okay,
take care of that.
thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you so
guys,
much.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, I believe we're going down to proclamations now.
Motion to approve? Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. It is approved. First one and only one today is the Manufacturing Awareness Month.
Pardon me?
Yes, yes. So it's an honor to be here with Peter today, and he represents the Manufacturing Association in the Manatee, Sarasota area.
Right.
Correct? And I know I've been with him on a few occasions when we went to Sun Hydraulics and a couple other companies, and they brought the children in from the high schools, and it just shows that it's just not assembly lines and putting on widgets. It is high-tech, it is skillful, and just amazing. And a lot of manufacturing all over the county, and high concentration down in South County, where I'm from. So whereas October 7th, 2016 is National Manufacturing Day, an effective way to highlight the importance of the manufacturing sector in our nation's economy and to draw attention to the many rewarding, high-skilled manufacturing careers available within our local community, and whereas the Sarasota Manatee Area Manufacturers Association, representing nearly 600 manufacturing facilities in our area, who produce a diverse array of products and provide employment for approximately 10,000 citizens, works with our educators to increase awareness of these career opportunities and to support school programs that provide the educational pathways to obtain them. And whereas the Governor of Florida has declared the month of October to be Manufacturing Awareness Month, and whereas the Board of County Commissioners commends and supports the important cause and the organizations involved, now for there be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that October 2016 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Manufacturing Awareness Month in Manatee County, Florida, urging all citizens to join in recognizing the value of our manufacturers and the importance they serve in our county, state, and the nation. Adopted with a quorum present and voting this 27th day of September, 2016. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. On behalf of the Sarasota Manatee Area Manufacturers Association, we appreciate your continued support for our sector. It would interest you to know that the first Friday of October is National Manufacturing Day, and that's was created by the National Association of Manufacturers years ago. On that day, we host Made in Florida tours from middle schools, high schools, and we get those kids inside high-tech manufacturing facilities so they can see what's really going on behind those doors. I'm happy to say that Florida has led the nation for the last 2 years in the number of events and students involved in such events on Manufacturing Day. And we intend to do that again this year. We already have, working in conjunction with both school districts, 700, I believe, close to 1,000 students that will be out in various manufacturing facilities on that day. Now, in addition to that, this year we're taking it to another level. This year we're having Manufacturing Awareness Month, and thank you for that, because it's too big a topic to focus on a single day. The school districts, this afternoon I'll be accepting a proclamation from the Manatee School District proclaiming it Manufacturing Careers Awareness Month. And part of that program includes not only the tours, but an Ask the Experts Bureau where teachers can reach out to engineers and specialists in our area to help them work through situations with a specific class. We also have every morning in the school districts in both counties, in every classroom, part of the morning announcements will be another fun fact about manufacturing.
Cool.
And a lot of people say manufacturing is not that much fun. So it was kind of interesting for me putting these things together. For example, PGT, one of the sponsors for the rowing event, if you took all the extrusion that PGT uses in 1 year to frame their doors and windows, it would reach from Miami, Florida to Seattle, Washington. Now, then we have a conversation with K-12 students about what's an extrusion. But that's where the conversation starts. One of another companies that we have right here in Bradenton, every commercial airliner in the air today has their product on board. It's the sending unit. And as the CEO told me, if you're using our product, you're not having a really good day. It's not a fun day. But it's a critical component in the transportation industry, and every airplane in the world has got one. It was made in Bradenton, Florida. So I invite you to visit our Facebook page and our website, and we'll be posting those facts on Facebook. Every morning, the kids are going to get those facts. We're working on other programs to reach out to the parents because they're the influencers, to let them see that their kids can have a good career right here at home, not necessarily through a four-year college track, but through a certification program. Our technical colleges are great partners in this endeavor. So we could not do it without the support of people like yourselves. So I thank you for that. And I invite you, as you did last year, get in touch with me through our website, and I will be happy to get you involved in a tour either from Air Products by the Port of Manatee or farther south to PGT. There's some place where we'd love to have you visit with the schools that day. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll say this, he's right. I've been to PGT, and obviously we've been to Air Products, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Of them, so.
The fact about Air Products, why do they use aluminum instead of steel?
Why?
Doesn't rust.
Are you going to tell us? I hope.
I'm waiting for an answer here. Come on, you're all educated.
Doesn't rust,
No,
maybe?
It's
the
lighter.
It's the weight to strength ratio. And it holds up better in the temperatures in which their units operate, which are 245 degrees, minus 245 degrees Fahrenheit. And then they went into an explanation of the chemistry involved and everything. But what's going to get the kids' attention is the unit that they're shipping this month is the 3/4 the length of a football field
Just did.
and weighs as much as 245 Volkswagen Beetles.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we're hoping that wow factor will get people talking about really cool like I'd be doing right here in my own hometown. Thank you.
Real briefly,
Thank you.
take 1 second to,
Sure.
also the boat manufacturing going on and the airplane parts that are
Oh, yeah.
made here right here in the county.
Yeah, there's Marine Concepts. You're all familiar with Marine
yeah.
Concepts.
Of course.
We were there for the governor's 10,000 miles, 10,000 jobs last year. Marine Concepts has been around a long time. They relocated to Bradenton from down south, and they realized that the marine industry is cyclical. So they took the technology and the expertise that they had developed, and they make flight simulator housings out of fiberglass now, not just boat hulls. They make components for theme park rides. So there's a lot of crossover, there's a lot of diversity. That is the strength of our manufacturing community here, is the diversity. So if one sector of the economy takes a hit, our manufacturers are still employing people at above median wage. They're still turning out product, sending out of the area and bringing the money back home. So we're wealth generators. And it's a lot of different things.
Hiring.
The marine industry, I talked to Air Products and Marine Concepts and one other company yesterday. They're all in hiring mode. And I was rather taken aback when Profile Packaging International told me they had to go to Germany to hire the talent they needed to be service engineers for their company.
Right.
So we've got a lot of work to do yet. But we've got great partners in the school system, and working with them and with the new Florida Makes initiative, which is out of Tallahassee, we're helping design curriculum so that students learn what they need to know to get those careers. So it's all part of that collaboration, and for that we thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to move now to citizens' comments, future agenda items. And I have one person, and this is where we have 30 minutes total, 3 minutes each person speaking, up to 30 minutes. So we'll start off with Tura Dennis.
Good morning. My name is Tara Dennis. It was brought to our Samoset Neighborhood Association's attention at our last meeting that there was a concern regarding the condition of housing in Samoset community, what was lacking in our community and what is needed in the community, and the avenues of opportunity needed to bring the community out of a concentrated poverty as identified by HUD. Fair housing means you and your family have equal opportunity to choose where you want to live, depending on whether you're able to pay the rent or mortgage, without being discriminated against or treated differently than others. We in Samoset have a fair housing issue, which is defined as a condition in a program's participants' geographical area analysis that restricts fair housing choice or access to opportunity, and also includes conditions as ongoing local or regional segregation or lack of integration, racially or ethnically concentrated areas of poverty, with significant disparities in access to opportunity, disproportionate housing needs, and evidence of discrimination or violation of civil rights laws or regulations related to housing. We can speak evidence to this with the high concentration of Black and Hispanic residents that live in Samoset. Many believe that because of their race, color, or nature of origin or disability, that Samoset was the most affordable place for them to go. Among those were many have stated they moved to Samoset because of the lower price housing compared to other houses in the county on the west side or further out east, and they could not afford to buy or rent in other areas of the county. Many older residents feel that Samoset has been left behind in a sense. They are disabled and they don't have access to public transit in our area. Along with many of the other issues that we are facing in Samoset, this is another one. But actions and steps have already been put into place to address these problems with the help of the Neighborhood Services Department. On another note, I continue to ask about the TIF workshops to discuss the allocation of funds designated to our area. The workshops have been postponed. I guess we're waiting on the referendum to pass in November. So let me ask you this question. If an example of the TIF expenditures within Manatee County includes sidewalk construction, street installation, median landscaping, new park for, construction, recreational activities, installation of street security cameras, and enhanced law enforcement patrols, why does the administrative and overhead expenses, which also include paying staff salaries, are being paid for out of the TIF funds and not taken from general funds to allow the funds that are specific to the neighborhoods to be used for that purpose? The CRAs were removed in Manatee County to replace them with the TIF funds without even a clear plan of how the funds are to be allocated. I was born and raised in Manatee County, and I enjoy living here with my family, and I hope that you consider looking more deeply into the issues of Samoset. Thank you.
Ms. Davis, I want you to know that I actually had a meeting on Samoset yesterday. I'm sorry, Ms. Dennis. What did I get? That's all right. At any rate, I had a meeting yesterday on Samoset, so we will be in touch with you, so you know. Commissioner Whitmore.
Well, I know somebody that lives on Anna Maria Island that pays $725 a month for rent. So there is housing all over the county, you know, that you can find. And this person uses the local food bank. So there is, and I think there is transit into Samoset, and I'll just ask staff to reiterate that in the future and get us something in writing. I know there is. I have a friend that lives on the island that goes to Samoset to the butcher shop. He was born and raised in Samoset, over by 53rd and, 15th, right there every week. And also he goes to the produce, the fruit stand there for years. So he was born and raised there, and he lives on the island now. But there is housing you can find. It's hard to find, but you can find it in the county. And I know a couple of people that do live in fairly affordable housing all over the county as a at-large county commissioner.
Commissioner DeSabatino.
Yeah, great, thanks for coming to speak, and we met yesterday, and then afterwards I drove around Samoset, and I saw the problem with the ditches, because right now there's no water in them right now, because we've been pretty dry since that big rain event, but I see where they're overgrown, they need to be dug out more, they need to connect to one another to do what they were designed to do initially. So we have a lot of work to do, and so some of we're going to see later on the agenda, we're allocating money for sidewalks down in Bayshore. And so I know we're all on board with looking into helping out Samoset as well, and that can come out of the TIF. Also, the Onico area as well, where we had a little girl on the way to school, and it was dark, and she got accosted on the way to school. So I really appreciate you coming in. Your children are adorable. She has twins, a boy and a girl that are 4, 3,
They look like they're 3.
and then the little girl like just a year younger. So basically triplets, and they're so adorable. And I went by the community center, and it's a really, really nice area. You're right across from our EOC. You're right across from Bell's Distribution, Pierce, Callahan, a lot of big manufacturers and industry, and a lot of job creators in the area. So, and then you're going to be affected with the 44th Avenue as well. We talked about that because 38th Avenue is eventually, pretty soon, going to be closed going in the across and in the opposite direction. So that'll affect the transportation and so forth. So, just all the communities are just so unique and have a place in our county and our history, and just looking forward to making sure that we can help out as much as we can. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience want to come forward and speak about future agenda items? Not seeing anyone, we will close future agenda items comments. Commissioner Whitmore.
I just have a question, because as an at-large, I'm not exactly sure. Is some of Samoset in Charles, and then the south part in yours, Robin? Because I'm not sure.
No, most of it is right at the line, right
So
between.
whose district is it? I don't know.
Commissioner Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, but is some of
then
it
it
in
zigzags into mine, so there's a little bit.
of Samoset?
A little bit of it, yeah.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. All
Right.
right, thanks.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward. I'm sorry. We're going to move now to citizen comments on consent agenda items. That is items 8 through 31. Number 15 is being deferred. I do not have but one card, and Mr. Ward, so you know, this item is coming up shortly, so you'll be called at that time. Is there anyone from the public that would like to come forward and speak on any consent agenda items? Items 8 through 31 with number 15 being pulled or deferred. All right, not seeing anyone, we'll close public comment. Commissioners, is there anything that you would like pulled?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm way ahead of myself, aren't I? Yeah. Well,
That's okay.
yeah, is there anything?
I have just one mention.
Just go ahead.
Item number 20, the budget amendment resolution that I just referred to. We're transferring $262,500 from the Southwest TIF.
All right, did you want this item pulled?
No, just to mention a shout out.
Okay.
That it's going to be transferred for our capital projects for Bayshore Gardens and the sidewalks. We already have the right-of-way, so they're working diligently to put the sidewalks in as safe routes to school. And I just, again, wanted to thank Ogden and Ivan and Sherry and her team for working diligently with the community of Bayshore Gardens in conjunction with Public Works, Utilities, and the school board. And it was a real joint effort, and I was so proud to watch them They met with the principals to determine the list of priorities of the schools, of the streets for the schools, and this is just a win-win situation. I wanted to thank all the people involved.
Commissioner Whitmore.
And I want to thank staff. They actually have started really giving a little bit more background discussion, especially on item number 14. It was a code enforcement, and it gives us a better picture of what the property and the whole issue surrounding it besides just the legal jumbo. So that helps me make decisions better. So I want to tell staff I appreciate them taking the extra efforts. That's all.
All right. So I don't have any other commissioners on the board, so there is nothing from consent agenda to be pulled.
Move
What
to
is-
approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bustle, second by Commissioner Whitmore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It is approved unanimously. Good job. Moving on down. Now we're going to go to advisory board appointments. The first one, item number 33, Health Council of West Central Florida. We're going to do something a little different today. Before we vote on this, I do have a card for someone to speak. And according to the county attorney, we should have been doing this all along, opening to public comment. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well.
On our agenda.
County attorney, would you like to make a comment, sir?
Sure, I'll just confirm the advice that I gave Madam Chair earlier this morning. Yeah, your appointments to advisory boards are propositions on which you are taking formal votes, and so they are subject to the right to speak statute. And if we've not been inviting public comment in the past, well, we should have been. So
Do it today.
we'll start doing that today. Yes.
All right, that being said, I'm going to open this to public comment. I do have one card, Charles Ward. And I will say I met with Mr. Ward this past week and told him that he could come forward today and speak on what I thought would be a future agenda item because I didn't know at the time that it was going to be on today's agenda. So, Mr. Ward, thank you for being here, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. I came here today to introduce myself. I'm a retired pharmacist from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Moved down here recently. We live in the Manatee County part of Sarasota, right north of University.
Not Bradenton.
I've applied to be a non-paid member of this Health Advisory Board. I thought with my background I had something to offer. I have several degrees in pharmacy, starting in 1963. I got a doctorate in pharmacy recently in Pittsburgh. My experience has been in hospital and retail pharmacy. Most recently, before I retired, I was rounding with general medicine physicians at 2 hospitals in Pittsburgh and teaching the pharmacy students. I also served at a clinic for the underserved on weekends to provide free health care to indigent people. I've also taught at the university level at St. John's and worked in industry. I think I have something to offer to this advisory committee, and I just wanted to say hi and present myself.
Hi.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Nice having you today.
Yeah.
Is there anyone from the public, anyone else that would like to come forward on this item? Not seeing anyone, we will close public comment. What is the pleasure of the board? We need nominations. Commissioner Whitmore.
Madam Chair, how are you going to do it? Healthcare provider first, and
Number
then
33, yes.
and then
Sorry.
that's consumer of whatever? Okay. So for the healthcare provider, I'd like to nominate Dr. Fulkins. He's the incumbent.
We're on 33, correct, Madam Chair?
Yes, number 33.
Am I right?
And we have 2 categories. Yes.
Healthcare and over 60.
So I'm sorry, you're doing which one? The healthcare,
Do you want us to do one at a time?
do whichever you want. You need to
Okay,
make nominations.
I'll nominate Dr. Fulkins for the healthcare provider, and since Mr. Ward actually made the trip, Charles Ward for the consumer of healthcare over 60.
Okay, well, let's just do one at a time.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it'd be
well, you
easier.
told-
So
okay.
No, we
we're going to
have
go with, go ahead, I'm sorry. I've turned it over to Vice Chair
So
Chapman.
I'll start first, Mr. Chair, then? You want me to go to the first one first, healthcare provider?
Yep.
Okay, Dr. Fulkins.
Dr. Eric Fulkins has been put on the table. Are there any more nominations? Commissioner Ball, I think that's what you handed it to me.
Not on this one, I will,
I
the
wanna-
next one.
Madam Chair, if I may, I want to, well, Mr. Chair, I want to be sure we're dealing with the Health Council of West Central Florida.
Number 33,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
33.
Yes, sir. You're correct.
Sorry.
Are there any more nominations?
Move to close nominations, so.
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
All those in favor? We have a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposition. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Commissioner Baugh.
Thank you. I'd like to make a nomination for the healthcare consumer over 60, Charles Ward.
Or move the nominations be closed.
Second.
We have a motion we have a nomination for Mr. Charles Ward. We have a motion on the floor to close nominations and a second. All those in favor of closing the nominations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposition. Motion passed unanimous. Mr. Ward is the nominee. Thank you very much.
And, you know, we all appreciate everyone who applies. They're all so qualified. It's a hard decision, and I thank everyone for serving.
Congratulations, Mr. Ward. Commissioner
Yeah, I just want to, on the next one that we're talking about, the Healthcare Advisory Board, as we know, we staggered them out, and some of them had to go, what is it, Madam Chair, 1 year?
Yeah.
And you know how many meetings they've had to at least get up to date for the first year. So, you know, in my personal opinion, I'm going to support the people that are on it only because it takes so much of a learning curve, and I'd hate to start over with new people again and then us not get anywhere. That's just my personal opinion.
All right, so we're going to go ahead then on item number 34. And you should, I think, all have in your packet all the nominees. So let's do, well, the first one, the social services representative, we only had one applicant.
Right.
So Phil Brown was he the incumbent, by the way? Has he been on this?
Yeah, he's on it.
Okay. So now we'll go to, do we need to vote on that since
Yes.
he's the only one? All right, what
Make
is
a
the pleasure of
motion.
the board?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Whitmore, second by Commissioner DeSabatino. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It is, Phil Brown is approved unanimously. Next, the substance abuse care representative. We need to appoint one.
I'll make a motion for Tom Scalota. He's a psychologist and a substance abuse physician.
Now, is he the incumbent?
Yes, he's incumbent, but they didn't
They
put
didn't
it.
say.
No,
he
it doesn't
is.
say.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion. Did we have a?
Second.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Whitmore, second by Commissioner DeSabatino. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It is, he is approved unanimously. And now we have two openings for any,
Chair.
yes, sir.
Incumbents.
So we take off
Yes, sir.
all this.
I'd like to speak in favor of Ray Dealman. Ray Dealman has a history of health care administration, and I think he's been a very valuable member of the advisory board of the council. And I believe moving to the healthcare advisory board, it would be a great move for the county as well as for him. I nominate Ray Dealman.
Second.
Madam Chair,
Oh, wait.
Nominations.
Just nominating.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Smith.
is it my understanding that we only appoint two?
Correct.
Okay, who are the incumbents on there?
Yeah, could
That's
you
what I'm
tell us?
trying to,
The incumbents are Sandy Marshall and Lori Dingler.
okay.
Oh,
Lori Dingler?
There's some fine candidates here, however, I think Commissioner Whitmore alluded to it. I don't know what the position is now, that I think is very important to the people who have served, and I did see the percentage of meetings that they're attended, to maintain the same ones on if they're willing to serve.
so you have nominated Ray Dillman, or I'm sorry,
Lori.
Lori Dingler and Sandy
Sandy
Marshall.
Marshall, that's correct, Madam Chair. Those are my two nominations to keep it the same.
Here. I have a
Yes, sir.
second nomination.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
I
hear
have
you,
a
sir.
second nomination. I'd like to nominate Diana Berry.
Okay.
She reached out. She's also got a nice history of healthcare. Be a good addition to the advisory board.
Commissioner Whitmore?
And I met Diane also, and I talked to Diane about this because I agree, but.
Diana, correct?
Yeah,
Not Diane.
Diana. But I still, as much as maybe I may have issues with some on the board, I still think a year to, and all the meetings they've attended is nothing. That was just a grain of salt of what they've got to keep going and then to start all over again. So I'll probably agree with Commissioner Smith on this one. And I'm going to ask Diana to go again because I will look for something for you in the county.
So am I. You're correct. Commissioner Whitmore, she was a very fine person. I'm yielding to the fact that these individuals have served previously, and I verified with the county attorney and staff that they've been attending these meetings, and this is a very important issue right now. If it was any opening, I definitely would consider some of the other ones, but they want to serve, and I did get a phone call. I haven't spoke to but I did receive a phone call that they want to continue to serve.
All right, Commissioner DeSabatino.
Yes, I also wanted to just give a shout out to Kimberly Sand, who reached out and made an appointment with me and was very, very interested in serving. And, you know, again, we have so highly qualified people who want to serve, and I'm going to go with what Commissioner Whitmore has stated, that they're just getting geared up, and let them these other folks apply on the next round, but it would be a disservice to take those off that really have started it from the beginning and have only a little time to ramp up.
Commissioner Chappie.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I agree with Commissioner Smith, Whitmore, and DeSabatino. There's nothing else to be said. It's already been said.
All right, well, before we vote on this, I'm going to go ahead and open this to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to come forward? Not seeing anyone. We'll close public comment. All right. It seems to me, I'm going to start off with the two incumbents because I think that's the route we're going to end up going. So Ernie Marshall and Lori Dingler. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hands, please.
Doing them together, or?
Yeah, can we do?
Process.
Yeah.
Can we
You
do
need to
them
vote
each
on
separately?
one.
Each separately?
please? Thank
Okay.
you.
All right,
And
then,
there was no motion to close nominations.
Yeah.
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
But
It
should we do the past protocol where we vote on whoever was
We're
nominated first?
we're going to do them individually. So we'll start at the top.
That doesn't matter as long as we vote.
It doesn't matter.
So Diana Berry was nominated. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All in favor? Raise your hands. That's one. Okay. Lori Dingler, please raise your hands. 5. Okay. Ray Dillman. All right, 1.
Get 2, right?
Oh, yeah, we each
We
get
have
2.
2. Ernie Marshall.
5.
All right, 5, that's it. Okay, so the people are Lori Dingler and Sandy Marshall.
Madam Chair, please, Diana, come back. Try
Yeah.
for something else.
Yeah.
And also Ms. Sand, too, Kimberly
Yeah.
Sand. She was very well qualified.
Thank you to everyone that gave an application. All right.
Good job, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. Moving right along. All right, we're going to go down to item number 30. Well, no, we can't do that. That's a time certain.
36.
Number 36, Perico Preserve, Seagrass Basin Mitigation.
Oh, my God, it's only 10. It's moving.
Good morning, Commissioners. Charlie Hensker, Director of Parks and Natural Resources, and here with my colleague, Alex Davis-Shaw, who is the city engineer for the City of Sarasota. The City of Sarasota, in this regard, is pursuing a beach renourishment project in conjunction with the Army Corps of Engineers and the state of Florida for Lido Key within the city jurisdiction, following the same protocols and procedures that we do when we pursue renourishments at Anna Maria Island. Seagrass is a protected plant in the state of Florida, and some seagrasses are located within the project area of their Lido Beach restoration project. So in this instance, where seagrasses are encountered and disturbance or a removal is expected, mitigation is required of some form or fashion. There are very few seagrass mitigation options in the state of Florida. Oftentimes, other alternatives are chosen, but in this instance, Manatee County has indeed an opportunity to partner with the city of Sarasota to provide that seagrass mitigation opportunity at Perico Preserve. We constructed the Perico Preserve project several years ago with this in mind, that cutting into an upland farm and creating a water surface and elevation that would support seagrass growth, we knew not only had a value for its environmental, just a straight out environmental value, but the seagrasses growing there could also be counted towards a mitigation requirement for some other local government. Not a private developer. We weren't interested in enabling or providing for that mitigation for any private development. But we made it clear at that time that we thought that if the state of Florida, in conjunction with the Anna Maria Bridge replacements or renewals, were going to need this kind of mitigation effort, our own utility system would need this mitigation effort, Port Manatee, or any other government could utilize this site, given the fact that they would go through the procedures to obtain the rights to use the seagrass growing there for mitigation. In this circumstance, the city of Sarasota was aware of and knowledgeable of our opportunities. Working with their consultants and the Army Corps of Engineers, they approached Manatee County staff to see whether or not we could accommodate their request at cost recovery to the county for doing so. And we've consented and shown our support. And we thought it important to bring it to the Board of County Commissioners for your support as well. Indeed, the Department of Environmental Protection has asked for explicit approval by the board that would allow for a reservation of a minor portion of the Perico Preserve seagrass opportunity for the city of Sarasota. We certainly endorse that action and would recommend your support doing so, but I'd like Alex to also have her comments on the record. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. For the record, Alex Davis Shaw, City Engineer. And on behalf of Mayor Shaw and the City of Sarasota, we appreciate the opportunity to come before you and request approval to utilize the seagrass area at the Rookery at Perico Bay for seagrass mitigation for our Lido Beach project. We also wanted to thank your staff. They've been very helpful in developing the concept and developing this thoughtful project for environmental improvements for the area. And I'm here for any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner DiSabatino.
Oh, I wanted to thank you both and everyone involved with this. This is a home run. It's just a great partnership with our two counties. And I've recently been down in Lido Key walking the beach, and I know that you are in need of renourishment there and dredging. And what a great way to help you out, and you're helping us out at the same time. And, thank you. It's a great opportunity for both. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead at this time and open this item up to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to come forward? Not seeing anyone, we'll close public comment. All right, commissioners, it's the pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve the recommended motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Whitmore, second by Commissioner Sabatino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. It is approved unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, I want to say one more thing. Friday, of course, I was in Sarasota and so was Commissioner Bussell for the one-year rowing event. And, I made the comment in that when the two counties work together, we can surely do a whole lot more than working individually. So I just want to say, again, this shows that we want to be partners, we want to be regional partners, and we look forward to working forward again in the future with Sarasota. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. That's messed up. This one. Next, we're going to go to item 37. And I do not have it in front of me yet. My computer just closed up. Give me 1 second. All right, item number 37, dashboard. Anything, any commissioner want to speak on the dashboard? That's unusual. Yes, sir.
I draw your attention to the PSCC report about the jail population and look at the August 16 total, way above the design occupancy for the jail.
Exactly.
Forewarning of problems to come.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, on that?
Commissioner, did you want to speak on that,
Yeah.
Commissioner? Yes.
I talked to EMS yesterday. I think we all met with them, but I talked about all the heroin overdoses, and they gave approximately 800, almost 800 Narcans in the month of August. So unfortunately, we're seeing this epidemic, and and I would like to know, I mean, that would be interesting about the breakdown of who's incarcerated with, the drug trafficking or being charged with this, but I was surprised on how many, that's a slow month for Manatee County, period, and to hear that many heroin overdoses, as well as your jail census that you just stated, I'm just wondering from the professionals that there's a correlation. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I was kind of surprised. I knew Manatee had like 370 or 400, and then Blake must have had the 300.
Well, I think Centerstone might have had some of those as well.
Yeah, they usually go.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes, Madam Chair, this came up in the Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting. We get a report from the major dealing with the jail capacity, and we have a new major who has became the new major for the jail right now. I know we do a report. We ask question with the facility. I know at our last Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting that the population I see there, I don't even think we've met on that yet. I know when I asked the major on the population, it was maybe 300 short. But to Commissioner Whitmore, mention of the situation is a statewide issue in all 67 counties. We had presentations to FAC dealing with jails and possibilities what's taking place, and you will start hearing people going toward citation and other issues because of these issues of overcrowding in jail facilities. I will ask the major to update us on the condition and the crowdedness of the jail, but at my last report, it wasn't that many at that time because I specifically asked those questions. As you know, the several judges serves on that committee. The sheriff, the public defender serves on that committee. The representative from the Braden Police Department serves on that committee, and our other partners, nonprofits, Centerstone is thus far. So we will be dealing with these issues to see where we at. I do know, I have read articles in the paper that seem to me it's getting worse than it's getting better from that standpoint. So this is a crisis that a lot of county governments are dealing with. So to Mayor Bell's point, we got to keep our eye on that situation, and certainly we will monitor that situation and report back to this commission on what's taking place and what resources and what ideas that they may have on that council. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome. Commissioner DeSabatino?
Yeah, and it was nice to meet with Bob Smith and yesterday, but it was really upsetting to hear really what's going on and how they're lacing the heroin with fentanyl, but other substances that they don't even know at the moment that aren't tracked, and they come in through, whatever means they come in, and then they have ways of identifying where the incident is, and then you can kind of do a radius, and that person usually lives within a short distance, so they can kind of track where they're getting these substances. And I really hope that our team and the sheriff's team really step it up to find who's bringing in these substances that are affecting people. They were saying that one person, they had to use that Narcan 4 times in one day.
Yeah.
In a 24-hour period.
I know.
And they were saying how, because when you're coming off of it, when they give you the Narcan, it kind of counteracts, and the person wants to go back on the heroin to to ease their pain that way, and it's just a vicious cycle. And I guess I learned more than I really wanted to know, but it's out there, and we just really need to get to the dealers, and hopefully it doesn't get into the schools and our younger kids, and it'd just be terrible. Years ago we battled the OxyContin, and we got that under control, and now we have something else to move in its place. And I heard that this fix is fairly inexpensive, so it's readily available and it's inexpensive, so it's a huge problem.
On that note, Commissioner, for those of you that were not at the chamber retreat this weekend, I know Commissioner Smith, I saw him there. The sheriff and the sheriff-elect were there, and the sheriff-elect did bring this topic up, and they are working diligently to come and, up with some solutions and try to get this under control. So a lot of good people are involved in working on this issue. The Sheriff's Department, all of our medical people are involved, so, hopefully soon we'll get it under control. But the sheriff was very passionate in speaking, or the sheriff-elect, I'm sorry, very passionate Friday on this issue.
Good.
Let's see, Commissioner Whitmore?
I learned something too, because the Narcan, from what I understand, there may be a way that you will be able to get it over the counter or with a prescription or something that I've read in the paper. So for families that know they have kids that are doing this, they'll have something. But I asked because I didn't know. I said, how do you know how much to give? Because I'm hearing from Dr. Raw in the emergency room at Manatee, who's the director there, that sometimes they're having to give 2 or 3 vials, just like she said. And I said, how do you know? And if the patient's not on that, then what they do is when you're overdosing, your respirations decrease. So when they give Narcan, if the respirations start going up to normal, then they stop. If they don't, it means they could have overdosed on something else, and then their protocol now is to intubate. They don't do the charcoal anymore like they used to. So, our guys, you can't give them enough credit on the road there of what these decisions they're having to make. But it was really interesting because some, like you said, like Robin said, the Narcan is being laced with other things now. And I heard in some county it was the heroin.
Right.
But I heard there's some county that's doing horse tranquilizers with it too.
That's what they said, it's in there.
So anyway, it's good that our guys are really on top of it. It was very educational, and kudos to them and our first responders because, you saw that picture on Facebook with the 2 parents overdosed on heroin with a 3-year-old sitting in the back. It ended up being on the national news. They're all passed out, slumped over, blue lips, and the poor 3 or 4-year-old sitting in the back.
And please mention that was not here.
No, I said national news.
Yeah.
No. And when I asked the hospitals, well, why can't you admit him to Centerstone or one of the psych hospitals? And it's because to be Baker acted, you have to be danger of yourself to others. They accidentally overdosed. And they're completely alert and oriented, and by laws, they can be discharged. And that's why, Robin, that you saw him 4 times in one day. So it's disappointing, but kudos again to our first responders.
All right, I don't have anyone else on the board, so we'll open this to public comment. Anyone from the public, come on down. State your name and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Morning.
Catherine Edwards. I just wanted to remind the board that this is how Prince passed away. He got his Narcan, counteracted it, and but he needed another Narcan down the road, and he wasn't in a situation where he could get it.
That's right.
There's another issue here, though, and it's a legal system snafu. The people who are having these overdose issues, from some articles I've read in the national journals, can't get the help that they need with any kind of funding from the government unless they already have a have been previously convicted or have some kind of criminal record. But I don't know why we should make criminals of people in order to be able for them to get the help that they need with some government funding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we'll go into, we have a 1:30 time certain, so we're going to have to come back, but we'll go ahead to commissioner comments. Commissioner Bussell. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You know what? I was thinking that was commissioner comments. I
Right,
thought that's
all
when you were
right.
bringing that up.
That's okay.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Whitmore.
Okay, I asked to have this put on the agenda, and it's a consideration of an animal abuser registry ordinance. Hillsborough County passed it in September, and it got beknownst to, I think, a few of us probably got emails requesting us to look at this, and I thought it was a pretty good idea. I'm requesting that the commission to consider the staff researching Hillsborough's ordinance establishing a county abuser registry. It prohibits animal shelters, pet sellers, private citizens, or others from transferring animal ownership to convicted abusers. Studies show, as you all know, we've all seen this, that abusers tend to also are very involved with domestic violence. And I was going to ask the commission if they would have any issues with staff researching, looking at us doing a potential ordinance, working with the state's attorney. I've talked to Ed Brodsky and Lisa Chidrow that Lisa wanted me to let everybody know that Manatee County is the #1 in the state for convicting animal abusers. Orange County may be a close second, but we are one of the very few that actually have a department that does that. Also, it'd have to, if a rough draft did get approved, it would need to go to the Animal Services Advisory Board to look at and get their blessing again before it came before us. I spoke to Angel last night, our clerk of the court, and a few years ago, I had forgotten about this. She had started a list at the courthouse for people that are being charged with animal abuse so that the animal community or anybody could go on their site and look and see the status of that case. On it also, it says when they were convicted. So we almost may not have to reinvent the wheel. It could be maybe tweaked. It's just something that, we're the first in the state to look at trying to achieve no-kill. We do have a very active animal community, as we all know, and we've seen some of these cases that have come through us with animal abuse, and it's just, I couldn't, I at least have to bring this up to see if the commission would consider having staff investigate this and see if this is something that we want to do in the future. That's all.
I'm the first one on the board. When I saw this, I I actually did some research so that I would have a little bit of knowledge as to what the ordinance in Hillsborough had been and what all it meant and how it would work. Because I didn't see how we could really discuss this without having that information. And it's a lot. Commissioner Whitmore talks about the clerk's office, but it's data that would have to be entered almost continuously. It's a report that would have to be kept up to date. The businesses that are involved would have to do background checks, so would rescues and everyone else if any animal was getting ready to be adopted. So, and then I asked if it had been before the Animal Services Advisory Board, because that's their job, is to look into items to bring forth to the commission here. So I think with this being the policy decision, it's not something that, it's a huge decision, and I really think that we should wait until we get a new board. I mean, we're getting ready to get 2 new members to the board, and I think they should be part of this discussion, but I think it should go to Animal Services, the advisory board first, and I did get, I had a conversation with someone on that board, and they're in agreement that it really needs to come before them before it comes to us. We're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. And Commissioner Whitmore, I think this is something that should be looked at in the future. We have had animal cruelty, but I talked to the sheriff-elect, and he doesn't know anything about it, and I think he would probably have to be involved in this as well. So I think it's an idea that we should look at, but look at it in the future after we get the new board, and it should go to the advisory board first. Commissioner Whitmore.
I did state more or less that. I said the sheriff has to be involved, our attorney has to be involved, our state's attorney has to be involved. There was never no intention to rush this through with the current board, ever, ever. This is a process that we need to see, get our act together. The advisory board, I actually attend those meetings, and the guidelines that we put in place, there's some things that they can't bring up. We've made it kind of restrictive, and that's why I wanted to bring the idea up, so that at least if we got the blessing of the board to look at it, then that gives them, once something gets drafted, if anything, or discussion, then it goes to them. Totally, they would never be put out, it would never go without their blessing, because they are a recommending board. But I know when I've attended those meetings, the guidelines that we gave them, they can't just bring up anything. Like, let's fire everybody in the department, or stuff like, it kind of used to get like that at one point. We've restricted what they did, and I wanted to open it up so that they could. You are totally right. All these people that you mentioned, Madam Chair, definitely need to be involved. I just wanted the consensus from the board that at least Rob Eschenfelder, that's in the back here, could look at it and get all the stakeholders and see if it's something that Manatee County wants to do in the future. Nobody wants to see an animal be abused. We don't want to see the terrible things that people do to them. And I think I do think that every rescue and every shelter has no problem going on the website or wherever, clicking on to see if that name's there, because they don't want their animal going to some whatever. I'm not even going to say it. But, some loser. But, I'm just, and it's statistically, this is a fact. You're an animal abuser, you're also a child abuser and a spousal abuser. And those are statistics that nobody can deny. So I'm just trying to bring this to, at least to the board for discussion, and see if we could bring it up in the future. And you're totally right. This won't come anytime soon, because I want it done right, and something that we can live with, and our sheriff can live with, and our prosecutors.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo some of your concerns, and even what Commissioner Whitmore has mentioned. Certainly, I don't know enough about this issue. Is Hillsborough County or no kill?
No, they're working towards it, but they're not.
Okay, that's
either.
one thing. We are here.
No, we're not.
And I know that, the sheriff-elect takes office next year. And I truly don't think we should even start the process until he's sworn in, and have already our minds made up on what we want to do before he even takes the oath of office. I say that because if you look at your fact letter, I was looking at Lake County, and the sheriff there, I think they were moving toward no kill, and the sheriff said you can have the animal service if you go that route. He will not be over it. So I think we need to be careful how we move forward. Certainly, if someone, my understanding that we're trying to get people to adopt animals, that we don't have enough people coming forward to adopt. And this issue here, what we're looking at now, if we're going to start a public registry, to me, it deter anyone who may never abuse an animal for even want to be accused of abusing an animal. Abuse could be not feeding an animal for a day or two, or your neighbor watching and say the dog hasn't had water. So I would need to see more information dealing with this. What's the criteria? How would we decide what's abuse and what's not abuse? Abuse is very vague when we're talking about a registry. And also this registry will follow people where it could harm their employment. If they got a good job, they could be accused of something. So I need more information on this. I agree with the chair that I believe, and the county attorneys here, we can take action and give it to the advisory board to vet it. But certainly for us to move forward with meetings and things and to put the sheriff-elect in a position where he wasn't there from day one when we started discussion. And as you know, it's new staff coming in with his department, it's people leaving at the sheriff department, and we really need some input and some thought from him also. The state attorney's already in place, so that's what I'm concerned about. Is it also that if a person can't live a certain place, is that part of it too? It's not? Okay, I just want to be sure when we're saying a registry, because we're dealing with sexual registries, you can't live certain places and playgrounds and stuff like that. I just want to be sure. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Chappie?
Yeah, on the surface, it sounds like an excellent idea. I'm hopeful that it will end up that way. I like the idea of starting the process right now with regards to getting some information together that it could go to the advisory board. You know, the sheriff-elect is already around. Nothing's going to happen that quick anyhow, but I think by the time this gets before the advisory board, the elections are going to be over, most people are going to be sworn in, you know, they're all players in the community, so I think it would be a good idea to get it started now, so maybe by January, February, there should be a presentation to the Board of County Commission, one way or the other, whether it is a good way to go or a not good way to go. I'm hopeful that it will be a very good way to go. I don't like the idea of adopting animals out to people that are not equipped mentally or physically to deal with the situation. So thank you.
I'm next on the board. You know, I was looking at the minutes for the Animal Services Advisory Board, and in the minutes we all received in an email, I believe yesterday or day before.
Yesterday.
I mean, recently.
Yesterday.
All right, well, one of the things that's on there is board discussion on policy updates. And this is something that, number 4 is something that this board has discussed twice and decided not to move on it. Act to limit the sales of dogs and cats at Manatee Pet Stores. Well, it's on their board discussion, and we'd already, this board had turned that down twice. So to say that we've tied the hands of the Animal Services Advisory Board, I'm sorry, Commissioner Whitmore, I think it's a great idea that you have here, but I think it should start off there. That is why we have that board, is to look into things and come forward with their suggestions. It doesn't mean that we have to follow their suggestions, but it's certainly the first place that it should go. The other thing that bothers me about it is that, you know, it's something that staff, public safety needs to look into, the sheriff's department, because it's going to cost money. It's not something that just can be done with no additional cost. And so this is going to have to be, as Commissioner Whitmore said, vetted extensively. And it's also going to have to be vetted by the county attorney's office. But I think I don't want to jump forward and not follow, not go about it the right way. So I would really think that we should wait until we have a new board, and let the Animal Services Advisory Board do their job. I mean, that's what it's for. Commissioner DeSabatino.
Well, I appreciate Commissioner Whitmore. I think you go to most of those meetings and bringing ideas forward, something to explore. I hear all the comments here, and you know, something that you know they can explore and work towards if that's the pleasure of the board and legal advises us to do so. I also think at the same time the Animal Services Advisory Board needs to address spay and neuter, and maybe mandatory spay and neuter programs to get to the root of the problem of the overpopulation of the dogs that come in, because I know we have an active TNR with the cats, and that seems to be working, and that seems to, well, at least I'm not hearing any squabbles going on in some of my communities over the cats. So that seems to be working. So if we again have a policy in place, I mean, you have local breeders, and they would be immune from this. They wouldn't have to abide by this if they're a local breeder, but for the general population, when you adopt a pet or when you acquire a pet, I think it would behoove us to work on, again, a mandatory spay and neuter philosophy in the county to help us with the dire problem that we have. And we know that there's a hoarding problem from time to time, and Lisa Chitterow and the state's attorney is very active in that. And I know when they first started, I'm like, why do you need this? But it really has been very effective, unfortunately. And so if we just, again, just get to the root of the problem and curtail the population, I think
Yeah,
that's where the animal.
it's on their
lord-
list, actually.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Commissioner Whitmore.
It's in the ordinance of Hillsborough that it's statistically, if you abuse an animal and you're convicted, you tend to hoard them also. So that's just an FYI, but we are not a no-kill, and I just have to clarify that. We've tried to gear towards it. The definition of a no-kill is the save rate over 90% for a year. We are at 89% as of this last month. We've only achieved no-kill once, maybe, or twice since we've been here. There's a county somewhere in the state that just achieved the 90%. Actually, it was 95%. And I can't remember. We all got that on our Association of Counties. But unfortunately, you know, it used to be in the 50s. It's 89 now, but we are technically, by definition, not a no-kill yet. I don't think just because we need to get animals out that we would want them to go to people that are convicted of animal abuse. This is only for people that are charged and convicted of animal abuse. And per Florida statute, which defines what animal abuse is. I'm disappointed that I couldn't get the consensus of the commission to at least move forward to bring this to all the stakeholders, including the Animal Services Advisory Council. Again, if they know that the board is interested in them looking at this, they will do the research and come up and deal with our staff and come up with a recommendation. As far as whatever they brought up again what was it, that was a Animal Services Advisory Board member that brought that up again. They had discussion, but I don't think they took any action. I'm not sure.
Well,
I was sitting there, but that was brought up by an advisory board member last month. And should they bring it up again or something like that?
With
But
the mandatory
the no, not the spay and neuter, the pet store thing.
Oh, the pet store.
I can't
That's the
believe-
third
yeah.
thing, yes.
Yeah, and
It's my understanding they can bring it up if
they
want
can.
to, so.
And also, I told them that I have every intention of bringing that up in the future again. I'm not a quitter. I'm going to bring it up again in the future. But that was just, I guess in fact, one of the members of the board looked right at me and said, "Are you going to bring it up again?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. I'm not going to for a while, but I will. I'll bring it up when the time's right, because I do feel that this county should go in that direction. So I'll wait for a future board and see if it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't." But again, this is for convicted animal abusers, and I wish that the county would at least let it move forward and go through the process to see if something that we can do. You're right, Madam Chair. If this costs money, we aren't going to do this, but how do we know unless we have staff look into it? Angel brought it to my attention last night when we were at a meeting, because I totally forgot that she started this registry during the Buck and Bill event, where, because we have some animal activists that actually go in the courthouse when they know there's an animal abuse case, and they sit in the audience with their T-shirts. So she started this a few years ago, and the list lasts for 10 years. And if you're convicted, you're on there. Also, if you're being charged, and then when you're convicted, it's on there. And she set it aside last night. It stays on for 10 years. So again, I guess I'm not going to, I would ask if I have a consensus or not, and then if not, I'll just bring it up again in the future.
Madam Chair, for clarification, because I'm not quite clear on what Commissioner Whitmore is asking at this point. Commissioner Whitmore, you started out at the beginning talking about the county attorney's office.
Right.
And
the sheriff.
It's kind of in the sheriff, and now it's kind of morphed over to an agenda item so that the Animal Services Advisory Board could talk about this to see whether it's something viable that we would want to look at. And I think the consensus of this board is, I would hope, well, yeah, if the Animal Services Advisory Board, absolutely, for them to talk about it, that's the protocol, that's the way it should proceed. Or at least that's what I would think as a county commissioner. I would like Animal Services Advisory Board to review this, to come back with their research, and then we can decide whether we want to move forward. And by that time, it's going to be in December. The elections are going to be over. I don't know what would be late about it, but
Everything
All
takes
right,
time in government.
Mr. Eschenfelder?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I just wanted to, after hearing the discussion, make sure that y'all and the listening public understand there's nothing in your Animal Service Advisory Board resolution which hamstrings them from originating policy recommendations themselves. There's no motion that needs to come from this board. This board certainly can refer matters to them if it so desires, but I believe they're aware of it, and I know Commissioner Whitmore goes all the time. So if they're of the opinion that they're not allowed to do this, that's not true. They are allowed to do it, and so they can certainly proceed. And as an official advisory board of this commission, they're entitled to request staff to come and visit them with them, and the sheriff's office and the state attorney. So all the resources are there for them to do the research and so forth, and bring it forward. At Commissioner Whitmore's request, I did pull the Hillsborough ordinance, and there are a lot of policy issues I think that do need to be fleshed out. You know, the one thing I saw was that if you're on this list, you're not allowed to be in contact with an animal. And so just one of the many questions is what's going to happen if you have a family and you have a family dog, and so, you know, there are issues. And so all that should be fleshed out and sort of come up with a nice report that says, you know, here's the situation, we've discussed this and that, and so here's our recommendations, and then that could be turned into an ordinance for the board to consider. So I think, I certainly think that the administration is aware that this is something that the board would like the Animal Service Advisory Committee to keep looking at, and certainly our office will assist in that as well.
Can I correct something that Rob said, Madam Chair?
Correct him?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Okay.
Well, no, Rob doesn't know. I just got this sent to me 2 weeks ago, and the board hasn't met. And so I was trying to get the consensus from the board that it would be something that they would look at, that I could bring to that we could bring to Animal Services, they could discuss, and then also state's attorney and the sheriff, of course. And so they hadn't seen it because it only got sent to me. This only got approved in September. It only like a couple of weeks ago. And the animal community posted this all over Facebook that they had done it, and then I got it. I think I got an email also. So I looked it up, and that's when I contacted you, and I sent you the screenshot of somebody posting it, what was going on. And if it's something we could look at. But no, this just happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I just wanted to be on top of it because it's going to be a long haul. I don't even foresee this even happen within 6 months because of how all the boards meet. But again, it's something I wanted to ask the board if they'd have any problems with the advisory board looking at this, and also staff and the sheriff, et cetera. It's not like I want to pass it tomorrow. I know that'll never happen.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't, if I left
There's
you
a
with
lot of
that
things to work
impression,
on.
that's not what I was representing.
No, you weren't.
I can assure you the advisory board is going to be looking at this. Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To my point, we keep bringing up the sheriff. What I may have not done a good job at explaining. Now, I don't know how Manatee County government operates, but when you have the sheriff elect, it's not the sheriff as I speak today. I don't speak for Sheriff Stubbe, but certainly his last 90 days, I don't know if you want to deal with this issue. Now, saying that, the new sheriff has to swear in every deputy. They have to take another oath with the new sheriff. The new sheriff does not have to keep the brass. He builds his own team. So my point I'm attempting to make is that whoever you're talking to today may not even be in that capacity next year. You've seen recent retirements. The new sheriff gets to pick his brass, such as a mayor of Palmetto. The top brass is gone unless he or she brings them back. The sheriff gets to pick his majors and captains, whoever it may be. If he can switch them, So it makes no sense to have conversations now when these individuals may not even be in place. That's the point I'm attempting to make. And you probably find out Sheriff Stubbe and Sheriff Wells is doing that now. And so the sheriff has to pick his new staff who he want to work with. And this is the only point I'm making. And that runs deep from that standpoint. Some may not be in those positions. Some may not be majors. And so this is why I'm saying it's fruitless, and Madam Chair is correct, until we get that settled for next year, who you're actually going to be dealing with. I have no problem dealing with this issue, but why would we waste staff time now with this? The new sheriff may decide he wants to bring different people in. He may not want to bring people in. He may want to designate someone different to deal with this versus who's there now. I just don't know. So that's why I stated that the sheriff is leaving. He has the final say until he leaves. The new sheriff may have a disagreement and may not want certain people in those positions. And I think we just dealing with something that is not going to take place until January the 7th. Every deputy must be re-sworn back in under the new sheriff.
Correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Correct. Commissioner Chappie?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine, thank you.
All right, I don't have anyone else on the board, so I can tell you that I did get an email from someone on the Animals Advisory Board, and, they will be looking into this, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no quorum with
yeah.
looking into it. But I agree with you, Madam Chair, to start the process now when there's so much change. It wasn't about the election. The election's over with the Sheriff Department, but their Constitution office is totally different with their procedures. His top brass, he picks his own people. It could be someone not there. And to start meeting with people who may not be there next year, or he don't want to be dealing with that, I think we just waste time with government. I support looking into it, but not till a new board comes in, a new sheriff comes in. I really don't. That's my concern.
And I appreciate Commissioner Whitmore bringing this forward because, there is an awful lot of abuse that we do hear about, not just here in Manatee County, but, in other areas as well. And it is something that I think we should probably look at and in the future and take a stand of some sort. But I'm with you, Commissioner Smith. I just don't think that right now is the time. But Commissioner Whitmore, good idea. And I think it should be something in the future that we do look at. Any other comments from the board? Okay. Well, then we'll go ahead to, at this point, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bussell.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Smith.
Madam Chair, I have some in the next meeting. I definitely want to talk about the driver license reinstatement day, and I want to talk also and respond to Mayor Bussell dealing with the Public Safety Coordinating Council, but I need that data to really address that. But I can tell you on the face value of what took place over there was life-changing. I can tell you that one gentleman that had his license reinstated, told me that it meant a $2 raise for him. And we talking about what took place over there wasn't a handout, it was a hand up in life. And so I want to talk more in detail about that when we get the data from the clerk of the circuit court on what revenue was taken in. And we talking about people who had license suspended for 8, 9, 10 years who probably would have never gotten back. They was riding bicycles to work. Some that owned $7,000, $8,000 and more. That came over there and put a lump sum, some serious money down to get them back. So I just want to have the proper information to have, and certainly we can get that from the staff. Ms. Corrier and the clerk of the circuit court advised me that day that they would put the data together. I know one circuit judge told me that this is something we need to do next year already, because everyone wins. I mean, everyone really wins. The clerk gets money that she would have probably never received. And the clerk runs off fees. And so when you have people flying in, which we had people flew in to get their license reinstated. So I just want to have the data so I can share it with my colleagues. I also want to have the proper information for this board and Mayor Bussell dealing with the jail situation so we can address that. As you know, he served for many years, and I believe he served 4 years as chair. So we certainly want to keep that moving forward, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Smith, I want to tell you that I heard wonderful things about that, and I applaud you. taking the bull by the horns and getting that done. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do up here, and you did a great job, and you helped a lot of people.
It was us. It was us and a great staff and the judicial and the sheriff and the public defender. And I can tell you this, when I went to the FACT meeting, I got 8 or 9 counties who read it. We got a lot of exposure who want to look at doing this.
Good.
And we've seen people participate with this here who basically just needed a hand up in life. And so I was excited to be used as a tool by this board to do something what I believe is great, and consider the sheriff and the state attorney and all of them to buy into this. And, we're the 3rd county to do it, but we are the 1st county to do it county commission driven.
Did a great
State
job.
Representative Darrell Son spearheaded ones in Hillsborough and Pinellas County. It's just been a life-changing experience when you see people, and Commissioner DeSabatino, you was there, and to see people actually coming out in tears. I mean, actually crying, But thank you. I want to do a full report and have documentation for the entire county commission and have the proper data. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's the only thing that I have.
Commissioner Chappie?
The only thing I have is a thank you to Charles for doing that. That's what leadership is about, and he took the lead. And the team and staff that helped move this thing forward. Tremendous work, tremendous job, and thank you all. Life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome.
And also, you had gone to the FACT meeting, I think that's where you were headed that afternoon, and we all discussed this, and we gave you great accolades.
Yeah, we did.
That
Thank you.
over 1,000 people registered. You'll get the data, but 250-ish or so qualified to get their license reinstated, but they didn't turn the others away.
That's the key.
That was the best part, because they gave them free legal advice that day.
Yeah, we had volunteer attorneys that gave free legal advice, and I can tell you that the judges and staff, they did a great job. Because what they did do, besides the free advice, they also allowed people to come there who had money to get on a payment plan that just showed up.
Right,
They
yeah.
had faith and walked upstairs and had some money. The judicial and the judges put them on a payment plan.
Right.
And so we had the Department of Motor Vehicles, had 2 buses out there.
Yeah.
We could not waive the reinstatement fee for that standpoint. But boy, I guarantee you and I wonder why they had police out there, but it was so much money being taken in that they had to actually guard the money.
Right.
And we was joking, we'd be interested to find out what the Department of Motor Vehicle actually took in that day. It's got to be $30,000 to $40,000.
But it was great. The
great.
clerk's office did a phenomenal job. It was totally orchestrated seamlessly, and not a peep out of anyone. They stayed in line. They knew where they were going, and everyone seemed to just be thrilled to be a part of it. And then you saw them come down and then get their licenses and coming out. So, it's kind of like a graduation day. It was just so thrilling.
It was, and the clerk of the circuit court, her staff was working so hard, and they was really engaged.
Yeah.
She was excited, first time ever doing it. It went on all cylinders. I'm telling you that it was a great opportunity for people who really needed some help and assistance, and
Right.
I'm
Hopefully we'll
excited.
do this.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do the report, the data, take it back to the Public Safety Coordinating Council to see what it meant for the clerk, to see what kind of time we put in, to see how law enforcement worked. But to see 3 judges sitting there at the same room and deal with these issues and hear these different stories. And you see, what we got to remember during the downturn, a lot of small people, businesses got hurt, and they started losing things, but they never had an opportunity. They lost licenses back then.
Right.
They lost their businesses. A lot of them was on child support. We didn't do child support cases at all, and some of them finally paid the child support off, but had tickets they couldn't pay off. So it was so many different situations like that, but I'm very thankful
Yeah,
that was took
you were
place.
great. You got an A+ on that. Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Just a shout out to code enforcement. I did a ride around with Jeff Bowman yesterday down in South County to just share some areas that I'm concerned about regarding code enforcement. And they're all about compliance. They're not about, putting fines on people. They're just about knocking on the door. He got out of the car several times, knocked on the door, talked to the people, and you just get so much more that way than just sending somebody a letter that they're not in compliance. A lot of tenants and a lot of landlord situations, and we're going to have a meeting coming up in Bayshore in November. I'll get you that date as it gets closer in. We're with the landlords again. There's so many landlords in the Bayshore area, and how we can partner together. So, no, that was a good trip with him and showing where a lot of the homeless encampments are, and I know where they are, and that's another whole topic. And also, Dan Schlant knows that I got contacted last Friday by some folks down in Tallabass regarding their sidewalks, and it's a great program that the county is putting in the sidewalks from 301 to 15th, and from our facility to the post office and all the way over to 301. So that's a great project that we're working on. I guess they ran into some snags with some old pipes and things like that, so the project has taken longer than they anticipated. We're going to get the lowdown from Schulhofer's group, but they were on TV yesterday. I saw them right before the election. They were on TV, and so we just want to make sure that they're kept in the know, and then they're satisfied with the project, and I know you'll be working on that. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Whitmore?
I just wanted to mention, if not very many people are aware, Jerry Hill that worked at Animal Services, our patrol officer, he passed away last week, and I think he was like in his 40s.
He was.
So, anyway, his dad was well known at Bradenton Herald. He was the sports outdoor editor for many, many, many years. So he has, and I guess he's Calvin Hill's brother, which I didn't know, and I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah,
So
they were talking
we all
about
know
that yesterday.
Calvin from another world too. So October 16th at 3 p.m., 53rd Avenue Church of Christ is the service is going to be. And then so I just want to, I know it was a hard time last week. It was totally unexpected. So at Animal Services. Also Habitat for Humanity. I'm trying to, I was thinking about it this week. Charles and some others probably have worked with them more than I have, but you know, they go around and they build homes, and there's other organizations that do it too, and that's where I'm not as up on other organizations that do it. And here I am, I'm going to talk about the small lots and the small houses. I'm sitting here thinking Habitat for Humanity builds these houses. Well, they could, you know, if we as a county, and again, I'm asking staff to look at our land development code for smaller lots or regular lots with more houses on them, small houses. And you could get 2 or 3 families on one lot. They're doing it all over the country. Every time I see something on Facebook, I capture the photo. I've got a new one that I just did last night that somebody's posting where this is how they're addressing homelessness. This is how they're addressing low-income housing. They're nice houses. They have to make payments, and after so many years, then they own it. So for those of you that are more up on this than I am, the organizations like Habitat for Humanity, when they have these plans to build on these larger lots, this could be something that we could look at in the future to allow more bang for their buck and also give more citizens a home. So I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but I just thought of, and I don't know what other organizations build homes in Manatee County, but, you know, nonprofits.
Right.
And we could also do incentives for this, you know, especially for the nonprofits, incentivize it even more. They're doing it all over the country.
Denise Thomas would know.
Yeah,
There are
Denise.
several groups, yeah.
It's my understanding that, I thought I remember hearing John Barnott
That's
say
what I was
they
gonna
are
say.
going to be looking at this, because
Right.
you brought it up the last time. So
Yeah.
they are looking into
They've
it.
But
got
I
to
brought
change.
up, this time is different with the
Well, I understand,
not-for-profits
but
and
you still have to have
habitats,
the
yeah.
land
You
use
need to follow the
regulations in place.
commissioners that's on the board.
I am,
But-
yeah, he looked at me and
BOA.
talked.
Actually, he
Oh, Betsy
wasn't.
does it all the
Volunteers
time.
at
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioner Whitmore. I did attend the Housing Advisory Board last week, and this issue did come up. And Mr. Bernard is on record months ago at looking at redoing everything to make sure that we have the proper way for people to develop. The Housing Board, Advisory Board, had a lot of dialogue on the table.
Oh, good
And
about this.
they're talking about incentives and everything.
That may be-
You know, I didn't ask one question. I was just there, just listening and everything. What it's going to boil down to when we start moving forward with affordable housing, it's going to boil down to us. But certain incentives that we're looking at on a case-by-case situation, the rules of engagements, we're going to have to be mindful that when people come and ask us to give them all of this here and they're not affordable houses, that it takes away from the affordable houses if you're going to have the same rules with someone developing elsewhere. So they're putting a criteria list together, and I look forward to hearing from what they came up with. But the meeting is well engaged, a lot of dialogue on there, and a lot of people that has expertise in affordable houses. And certainly we'll be getting some in the future. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Chappie. I mean, I know that Building and Development is looking into the tiny homes and trying to make sure that we have things in place to be able to do that. So yeah, I think you're right. I think in the near future, Commissioner Whitmore, we're probably going to see that. Commissioner DiSabatino.
Right, and I know, I was asked the other day how the county and working with different builders and developers can be factored in the equation, and how we factored in with Harvey as we did the comp plan, initiated the comp plan change. So that's how we can have some skin in the game. Also, Palmetto had some land, and they're looking into that, and as well as our team is looking into the county-owned property that's not used, how that might be some skin in the game without having to put out any other money. I know the county has worked in the past, Denise Thomas and her team, Debbie DeLeon, with the Volunteers of America.
There you go.
And the Russo property, the Jack Russo, working with veterans groups, Learn to Fish. They're working with giving housing for people coming out of incarceration. And and then I continue to work with the Bradenton Bridge and hoping to get them more housing as kind of units together, because they've bonded as a sisterhood, and then when they're able to get out on their own, they would like to be able to live with some of their fellow sisters. So there's familiarity, and they can help each other with childcare and so forth. So there's a lot of different moving parts, and everyone has a seat at the table and skin in the game. So.
Commissioner Whitmore.
What I'm trying to push, though, is the option. It's almost like years ago when we didn't look at the roundabouts, and now it's mandatory, I think, I thought that they look at them first. Just like, be outside of the box and think about, does every house have to have 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, or can they have like the smaller units for the single the small family, or, singles? Just other options to play with that lot in our land development code, and not just a standard, because that's what it happened on the island. I used to say, think outside of the box or you're going to get boxes, and now that's what they all have, because they had to follow the rules. They couldn't go outside of it. And I'm just trying to think, this is the trend, and you're seeing it all over the United States. So it's something that we really need to look at. I know John is, but I didn't know if we were looking at the not-for-profits that do the house with the 2 or 3 bedrooms. I've been to a few of those ribbon cuttings. Think about something different, a model where you could actually get more families in more homes.
I know that is being looked at. I had a conversation with Sherry Courier, actually, on that.
On the smaller, good,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Commissioner DiSabatino point, dealing with some of the property owners that already have units and things like that, some kind of way we've got to come up with incentives for the ones who may not want to upgrade their property, something to give them reason to sell it for revitalization of new homes. Tampa, Hillsborough has done that in those areas, but homes been there and apartments been there for 50 years. They've came in, and now you got new development coming there. So we've got to put something together where someone say, I'm tired of investing money into these units. If it was a good partnership on the table, I would sell it to someone and give most of them opportunity to upgrade their property, or to sell it so we can revitalize those areas. I remember that I had a commissioner who was on this dais 20-some years ago when you deal with Onika. I've been around long when you could ride through Onika and was no houses, none whatsoever. It was just roads. That was like a day drive night. If you want to drive, you rode there for miles and there was no houses. And this commissioner, we was talking to an event and it came up when they started developing and she was saying that it was said that they need to develop these type of houses so they continue to get grant money. And that's a shame, and I was told this by someone who was on the dais during that time, who actually represented that district and was not happy back then on what was taking place. But we've got to bring them to the table. We need to have something to bring them to the table. And you got people willing to buy property to revitalize those areas. And if they're not willing to do it, let's have some incentives for somebody who's willing to do it where it's beneficial for them to sell their property for new development. I mean, that's what they're doing in the urban core across America right now. And you will find out that the element of criminal activity, black-on-black crime is a big issue in America. Don't let no one misguide you or fool you of that. And so I understand the dynamics of that issue, but it's all tied to the lack of affordable houses. I mean, it leads right back to the lack of affordable housing. It leads back to the lack of lights in communities that encourage criminal activity. You light up the place, those things are not going to happen. And if you see newsletters going around across different government agencies and people are lighting up these communities. It's not safe for law enforcement to be in those communities. It's not safe for you or anyone else to be in those communities. And that's why law enforcement at times have to sit with their lights on to look at certain areas to curb the criminal activity and the violence that may be taking place in those areas. So I just wanted to put that, there's tons of acreage of land. And so we got to really look at those situations. And hopefully we can bring them to the table, Commissioner DiSabatino. But we need some incentives to, some of them may be tired and want to sell their product, but they need to be able to get something out of it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner DiSabatino?
Yeah, great. And unfortunately, at this point, they're making so much money in these rentals that a lot of them aren't kept up.
No kidding.
And Jeff and I got out and we looked at some of these, and the exterior were deplorable in a lot of them, so you can even imagine what it's like inside. A lot of the roofs are caving in, and we have no jurisdiction on the inside. So, and they're getting good rent. And not all of them are doing that. A lot of them that I meet with, fix them up, and then some of the tenants aren't keeping them up. So, it just takes one cul-de-sac at a time, someone to go in there and buy a whole cul-de-sac out that's in deplorable condition and start renovating, and it's going to take, one block at a time, one bite of the apple at a time, so to speak. And when I met yesterday, I'm trying to get her name, that was here today, Tara, she was saying that a couple people in her neighborhood a while ago went and worked with FP&L to get some street lights for their properties, and they did it on their own initiative, and then they're charged a monthly fee. So we need to, work with them to try to get some bulk rates in some of these areas, and bring them to the table as well.
You probably should have a conversation with Sherry Corrier as well.
Okay. Good.
Commissioner Smith?
There's two issues, dealing with that conversation with Commissioner DiSabatino. I'm attempting to stay out of that conversation before I get dragged in.
Yeah.
I truly believe that the interests of Samoset, the dialogue is very thoughtful, and everyone has concerns with that. As you know, we have a referendum to deal with lights. And the issue that I'm pushing is the passage of the referendum. That had been on the books forever where you can get neighborhoods to do it. But the poor neighborhoods would never be able to afford to do it. And so it would take too long to do that. That's why in the referendum we had and lights, because that is a selling point in crime-ridden communities. What is it in it for me? And people are resonating with lights. They can't see at night, specifically the elderly. They can't sit on their porch at night because no lights. And that conversation has been held in this chambers long before I came a county commissioner. We have addressed the issues with the funding. We don't have funding. So we need to be on one accord to deal with those issues. I agree with everything has been said about Samoset. I've been here all my life. I understand Samoset. And so the ditches and things, we've been out there, looked at the ditches. Staff say we don't have the money to do this and that. So that's where we at. But to improve the quality of life in a community, you must work across the board with different people. Most financial situations that people have, and as they get older and start taking care of their grandchildren, they don't have the resources to do that. We can easily say, we know that, we've had that debate. I've debated that issue about street lights and let's get people to sign, but it just don't work like that anymore. When people on fixed incomes, they don't want nothing to do with it. They're still afraid, they're scared. They just don't want to do it, so it's got to be broad. Not only Samoset, across the whole county.
Well, look at Rabonia.
Yeah, look at Rabonia. So it's not things new from that standpoint. We just got to work in one accord, and the chair has hit it. Sherry Coyer and her staff, they've had meetings on this, millenniums meetings, strategy meetings, affordable housing. So it's not where it's just isolated. It's widespread from that standpoint. And in Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, one of the conversations came up, and this is what we're going to have to do. And you're right, they're cash cows. Mayor Buckhorn and all of them said, we understand the cash cows. But when we see those violations from the road, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to fix them up, or we're going to bulldoze them. You're going to have to bite the bullet. It was asked in that meeting by one of the members, okay, what about these houses in bad condition? They don't want to fix them up, they're making money. You're going to have to make the decision. This is coming from, you have to make the decision. You know, we see it from the road. You're going to have to repair it, you want to sell it, but you're not going to keep doing business like that.
Good luck.
You know, and that's what, and that's the decision they said this board going to have to make the decision. I believe in compliance. I believe Mr. Barnett is doing a heck of a job, but it's going to come, and I said the same thing over in Palmetto. If I can see the violation from the street, it's a violation. I believe in compliance, but if that violation there over and over again, we always going to blame the people who's living there. But we're renting to those people also consistently, so you can't have it both ways. But the advisory board is discussing that. Okay, what about these houses? What's the motivation? I mean, I had someone to come back and say, that house been there in that same condition 20 years. And I just came to a funeral from Atlanta, and it hasn't changed. So nothing changed without action. So we're going to have to do, that's fine, we'll start from zero, just fix your property up. When you going to fix it up? We see the code violation, you have to go out there and cite people.
You know, a lot of it's rental properties, too.
That's what we're
Exactly what we're
talking
talking
about.
Is that just what you're, because you're
That's
talking about affordable housing.
I'm
and
talking about the rental.
A lot of it's just rental properties that aren't being kept
Well,
up.
the thing,
Amen.
what I'm getting through emails,
The landlords.
yeah, what I'm getting through emails across the county, Democrat, Republican, makes no difference. What are we gonna do about those houses that's been there in disrepair for years? You know, we got the 2017 road competition coming here, what we just seen. When you bring those, people don't want to see people living in conditions like third world countries. I had someone to turn off the road and say, I couldn't believe people still living like this in Bradenton. Made a wrong turn and got lost because they detoured off the state. I got a phone call, there was head neighbors, I can't believe people living like that. So, and that's what needs to be done. Compliance, we'll work with you, but we're not gonna let it stay the same.
Right.
And that we have to bite the bullet and stick firm and do that.
Anything else, commissioners, before we recess?
Back at 1:30.
All right, we're going to go ahead and recess. We'll be back here at 1:30.
Hey, yourself, fella. On there. Absolutely.
Congratulations, Larry.
Got an award?
Yes, he did. I still got a minute.
The George Higginson Award.
30 times certain.
It's an award they give to special people.
Special people.
Is that what he has on?
Cool. All right, let's call this meeting back. We're going to start with item number 35, invitation to negotiate. But before we start, I'd like to recognize that Commissioner Betsy Benak has joined us. Welcome back. Thank you. All right, Mr. Slant.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This item is about a development agreement between us and independent partners, in development partners, excuse me. This started out as an ITN, an invitation to negotiate that the county put out, looking for a private partner to build a hotel at the convention center site. We've gone through that process, and we're at the point now where we're bringing this development agreement between us and the developer to the board. And this is, you know, a lot of people refer to public-private partnerships, P3s. This is actually a P4. It's a public-public-private partnership. We have another partner in this. For this to be a successful development, the city of Palmetto, in which the convention center is located, is a critical partner in making this development be what it will be. And it's a very exciting project that's being proposed here. And I won't go into that right now. The developers are here, and they're going to go through that here in a bit and tell you what's involved. So this is a development agreement. It lays out the framework and the structure for how a deal would work for this hotel to be built on the county convention center property. And there's also a consideration where the developer would purchase the adjacent parcel that would also be part of the project and used as parking and other amenities for the project. This project, like I said, we're going to have the city of Palmetto come up in a little bit and talk a little bit about their participation in it, and we're going to have the developer come in and come up and talk about it. The project has a little bit of complexity to it in that the CRA for Palmetto is going to be an important partner in helping finance the capital construction and provide economic development incentives for that, for the hotel project. In order to be able to do that, they need the increment from the tax base that will be developed there by the project. And so for that to be a taxable event, that property can't belong to the county. The county is immune from taxes, and so there would be no taxes generated for the CRA, and then therefore they would not have the ability to do that. So we have worked out a methodology, and Mr. Clegg, our attorney, has been very helpful in that we would transfer basically what would be the northern half of the convention center property to the city of Palmetto in fee simple title. We would also, as part of our development agreement, enter into a land lease agreement for the hotel with the developer. That would also need to be transferred to the city of Palmetto. So it is an interesting and creative way to be able to help finance and provide for the construction. With that, I would like to turn it over to Elliot Falcioni. He is our Convention and Visitors Bureau Director, and he's going to talk a little bit about the benefits of the project.
Good afternoon again. From rowing to corporate hotels. Doesn't get any better than that.
On a day's work.
This is an exciting time, as you know, some of you know, I think Commissioner Smith was living on that side of the river. 1985 January, the Manatee Civic Center, actually Commissioner Bussell was around too, opened its doors. And I have a publication from 1984, a meetings guide that said, an adjacent hotel will be built shortly within the year. Yeah, 1984. It's in my bookshelf in my office. So unfortunately, a few years have went by, but we believe that we're finally here. And this hotel, full-service hotel, which will be considered to us as a headquarters hotel in the urban core that will help feed the other limited and full-service hotels in the urban core. But this hotel will no doubt enhance the city of Palmetto, the North Shore, as a destination in the marketplace. Please help us as we move forward. Call the convention center a convention center. You know, when a building's named out of the gate, it's so hard to change our mindset. I made the department heads a bet a few years ago when we changed the brand that every time we say Civic Center, we donate $1 to the United Way. It was fun, but it's that important because our marketplace, the meeting planners, need to understand that if it's not a convention center, they're not looking at it. Okay? So this will become a viable, real convention center with an adjacent attached full-service hotel. It's important that we diversify. It is so much, we're having success with the leisure visitor. We're having success with the sports visitor. We got to continue to diversify. We're not there yet as a corporate meetings destination, a convention, small convention destination. This hotel will help us diversify, and your staff at the CVB are ready to go. Amy Blankert, who is our sales rep, is a certified meeting planner who has the relationships waiting for those hotel to break ground so she can work with Starwood to start going after small conventions and meetings. Feld Entertainment and It Works, two major seeds that have helped leverage this deal. As you all know, the Green Carpet event in July with It Works brought 21,000 It Works distributors and their families to our beautiful community for a week in July. In July. When does our hospitality industry need business? July, August, September. And they had a great time, and you all helped support that conference as well. So very, very important. I just want to thank David Teitelbaum. David, raise your hand, even though they all know you. You know, we talked to David a few years ago because of his development experience, his relationships around the United States. And he stepped up and said, you know what, I'm going to try to put a group together to get a hotel built in Palmetto. And guess what? We're here today with a dynamic group that we feel has the skill set, the expertise to get this deal done. We believe in the partnership with Mayor Shirley Bryant and the city of Palmetto, and what Jeff Burton is worked out with them. And we're cautiously optimistic that, you know, with your approval, when you're ready to do that, we'll keep the wheels turning. The other thing that we're evaluating that will be asked is, you know, how will we manage the convention center moving forward? As you know, Sable Perrin, who's in the audience, our general manager, is working side by side with experts in the marketplace to feel how we will best use the convention center when the hotel is open, because we're going to have to free up some space to create dates to be able to leverage small conventions and corporate meetings into that facility. So with that, it's time to introduce Melissa Wendell, who is your purchasing director, and she's just going to go over how we got through the procurement process and negotiating process at this point in time. So thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Wendell, purchasing official. This master development agreement that you're going to hear about today was the result of a competitive process. The procurement method that we used is referred to as invitation to negotiate. For your edification, an invitation to negotiate is very akin to the request for proposal process, where you consider proposals based upon the qualifications and the merit of the offer. And very similar to a request for proposal process, there was an evaluation committee that was formed that reviewed all of this, and negotiations ensued. So this ITN was let in the fall of last year, and negotiations have been going on all of this time, resulting in this master development agreement that we're going to be bringing to you today for your consideration. As part of the master development agreement, a special purpose entity was formed. The name of that special purpose entity is Innovative Improvement Network Development Partners. David Teitelbaum, as Elliot mentioned, co-proposed, and the Improvement Network Development Partners that I'd like to introduce to you so that they can tell you a little bit more about their vision is Anthony DeRusso and Steve Goodman, co-partners.
Hi, I'm Steve Goodman. I may be in for a treat. I managed to bring a cough here to Florida, so I may have to keep it short, or I'll defer to my associate, Anthony DeRusso, who's been very hands-on involved with this project. As has already been said, we responded to the ITN process, sort of rose to the challenge of a complex deal dealing with building a hotel on a spot that was currently being used for parking, and how were we going to replace that parking, which obviously was needed for the convention center. So what you're seeing on your screens right now is a site plan, which is pretty close to what we think will be the final configuration, maybe a little movement of footprints here and there. But you can see the hotel in yellow. I don't know if I can do this with the mouse. I guess not. There we go. It was hiding from me. But over there in the upper right-hand portion, that's the hotel. And as you can see, that is clearly where the existing surface parking for the convention center exists. So we were challenged by, how do we build a hotel that was in close proximity to the convention center? How could we build a hotel of sufficient size to be worthy of the designation headquarters hotel? Because our goal was not only to service the convention center and turn one-day events into multi-day events by giving attendees and their families a place to stay in proximity, but also have the other amenities available to make it, a preferred place to stay. So we have engaged in an escrow to acquire, which is currently privately owned, the land in the upper left-hand corner, which is going to be used for surface parking, which will be replacing the parking that we're going to chew up with the hotel footprint. The concept is that we are right now looking at approximately 1,635 spaces. So that will meet the typical guidelines for a hotel of that size, and will provide adequate parking for the convention center without having to build multi-story parking, which is very cost prohibitive in this day and age. We also have embarked on a plan to not just build a hotel, but something that will bring people to the site and expand the event capability of the convention center. So if you'll notice, there's a green spot surrounded by some water feature, which is called temporary event space. That is actually an event courtyard that will kind of step down from the lower portion of the hotel and can be used for things like climate-controlled, tents for temporary events, or a fair or an outdoor music venue, and one of the reasons that we undertook that approach is we had significant drainage and stormwater challenges with that site. It's and the remediation cost to build something permanent would have been cost prohibitive. And our goal was to successfully build a hotel, and make it cost effective, and make it endure operationally. So the idea is that we would be expanding the convention center's event capability, particularly as you start to book more multi-day events. You won't have to transplant things like weddings and bar mitzvahs and high school graduations, because you can move them to that climate-controlled outdoor space, which should be suitable. The other thing, excuse me. The other thing I want to point out is that we want this hotel to be a source of outreach to the surrounding community, and we are going to spend a great deal of time with the chambers of commerce of the surrounding communities. We plan to put a concierge in the hotel that will allow the families of event attendees to have access to things such as water taxi to the beaches, to golf and tennis, and the museums, and all the things that Manatee County has to offer. So we are working very hard in this plan to make this a destination unto itself. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the next screen. Oh, there we go. This is, the second graphic is what we call a massing plan. You can see to the left the existing Bradenton Area Convention Center. And you'll notice in between, which is obviously the hotel, that high-rise building there, sort of salmon-colored, is we call this the connector space. That is meant to be an entertainment venue, an indoor entertainment venue that will open and spill down to that temporary event space. And that is the idea of, again, bringing people to the site, not just for conventions, but to, experience, the central core activities. And we're talking things like, we still have a lot of planning to do there, but it's scheduled to be 16,000 square feet, two-story, or 18,000 square feet, sorry, Tommy. 9,000 square foot footprint, two-story. And one of the things that I promise is that we'll get a Starbucks in there.
Yay. Thank you.
And that goes way back to some very early discussions about this site. And then, and you get a little better view when you see it in 3D here. The other thing I think is important, and this is a pretty good illustration, I glossed over it in the site plan. Maybe if you could go back. The other thing that we propose to do is to extend 7th into Haven Boulevard. And you can see it in the drawing where it curves at the upper right-hand corner of the site plan. Yeah, thank you. And so that'll provide much better circulation for the entire site. Going back now to the massing plan, and then you can see it a little better now as you look in the lower right-hand corner how it turns. And we plan to obviously work with a little more detail to make sure traffic flows smoothly through the whole area. But it'll give much better access to the parking, much better access to the site and the hotel. And lastly, this is a rendering of the hotel. It has been a little bit of a challenge. We wanted to make sure that the hotel certainly was functional. And this represents a little more than just a drawing. The hotel has been designed and laid out interior-wise. If you can see in the lower right-hand section of the drawing, that's your ballroom and restaurant space. You have the room product there on the high-rise portion, and then to the left, that takes you into that connector space. You can see the slanted roof. If you go back to the massing plan, you can see where the roof slants right from the slant of the roof of the convention center. We wanted to design something that was, again, cost-effective, not cheap, something that was functional, but also sympathetic to the existing architecture of the surrounding buildings as well as the convention center. And there were some challenges, but I think that, excuse me, with some tweaking, I think that, that this will actually be something that the county and the cities can be proud of as far as a piece of architecture. The hotel itself is going to be 250 rooms, upper mid-scale full service. We are currently under a letter of interest from Starwood Hotels to do a Sheraton. This would be their Sheraton convention configuration. That probably doesn't mean much to you, but it involves a lot of open space. They call the link, where you come into the lobby and instead of having your traditional business center, your business center and sort of congregation point is right there adjacent to the lobby. And it works very well with what we're planning to do with the entertainment zone and the convention center. Overall, the building will be approximately 204,000 square feet, over 17,000 square feet of additional meeting space. That's in addition to the convention center space. So again, it'll attract larger groups to the area, which should spill over to all the other merchants in the area. We've done quite a bit of work on the project. Obviously you see the drawings, but we've been working very closely with both the county and the city, and have done a lot of civil engineering. We've done and Bob Goss is here, who's been a great help to us. I would like to, if you will permit me, I'd like to kind of turn it over to my associate, Anthony DeRusso, who's the project manager, and because I think I still kept it under 10 minutes. to talk a little bit about what we have, the work we've done to date, and that way I can get away from trying to hold this cough back. Go ahead. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time, and thank you for hearing from us. I just wanted to say thank you to some key individuals that have helped us get to this point. There has been a lot of work that has gone on behind the scenes to, Steve made mention to challenges. There's been many renditions of a site plan trying to figure out what is the best potential use and how are we going to develop this headquarters hotel. And not only that, when we mentioned the complications of working out the ground leases, and it has been a complicated process. And I got to tell you that both the county, Mr. Dan Schlant, Elliott, Melissa Wendell, and as well as obviously the city with Mayor Shirley Bryant and Jeff Burton, they've just been absolutely phenomenal to work with. So we have been working with them a lot over the last year, and throughout the process of the invitation to negotiate, we've put together a very successful team as a developer. We've got a general contractor who has partaken in multiple hotel development projects. We have an architect. Upon request, we can submit the background information for these individuals. We have our construction management team lined up. So we've got a very complex and accomplished team. We've obviously gone through, we've programmed the actual hotel space. So those renderings that we see there, those are actually ready to be transferred into working drawings, which means that we have a head start on our development plan. And instead of going, I have a list of obviously things that we've accomplished here, but, in respect of everybody's time, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, obviously I'm here as kind of the hands on the feet on the ground here. One thing that I would like to say just about the area, my first site visit here, my comment to Steve was, well, there's not a lot around here. We're going to have to really work to sell this hotel. But I have spent some time here. I've been able to come back here quite a few times, and I've really fallen in love with the community. There's a lot of really, really neat and special things here. And when he made reference to the concierge service, that was kind of an idea when I got around, and I said, wow, there's a lot that these beaches here are incredible. The Village of Arts, the river walk. I mean, there's so many things. The museums, there's so many things. It's just it's difficult. You have to find a way to move people around and get there. So we are developing a kind of a shuttle program with a water taxi to be able to get those out-of-towners to be able to experience the local feel of Manatee County and the city of Palmetto, because I really have fallen in love with the community here. And everybody here has been incredibly kind, and just everywhere from going to restaurants and getting gas at the gas station. So I guess I'd like to open it up for any questions that you may have, and if I don't have the answer, I know someone who does. So.
We've got a lot of commissioners on the board. Commissioner Whitmore.
And don't forget the outlet mall. I don't know about you, but
Yes.
every visitor that I know that comes to town has to go to the outlet mall.
Yes, that is on the list.
I just wanted to say, I came in office November of 2006, and then Mayor Bussell met with us like a month later with all the county commissioners at the convention center and the city of Palmetto and Mayor Bussell at that time to discuss this very issue. So like you said, this has been going on a long time. So when there's a will, there's a way. And I know that Palmetto and Larry passed the baton down to Mayor Shirley Groover Bryant, and here we are today. It is definitely a 4P partnership, or this wouldn't be able to happen. I'm so glad that that Palmetto's on board and that we're continuing to support this. And I'm sure that we will do everything in Palmetto, do everything that they can to make sure this happens, because this is what the community has asked for years. I know somebody's going to probably explain, in our briefings we got a little bit more explanation. If you're going to, or about the conveyance of the lands to Palmetto for this, so we can have it in the CRA. So I don't know if that's going to be explained a little bit better, and I thought that would be good so that the public could kind of know a little bit more of the details.
Yeah, so the purposes of this meeting is to lay out the groundwork of our agreement through the master development agreement. There are still details that need to be negotiated through our land lease, and if you look through on the development agreement, we do have a 90-day window to finish up some of those details that need to be figured out. So we fully anticipate having to go through another process to approve the actual land lease and the complications of transferring it and the timing of the transfer. And we've thought through a lot of these questions, but it hasn't been documented yet. So like I said, in this agreement, we do have a 90-day window to finalize those points.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Benak. Dan, did you want to
No,
respond?
I think Tony said it well.
Conversation going on here.
A lot of those things like the timing and how that will work all have to be worked out, but there is a pathway and a way to do that so that the county's protected from its point of view, the city is protected from its point of view, and the developer as well. There's a pathway for us to get there to that point in terms of that transfer and how that would work.
Okay. Yeah, and this is, like you said, this is complicated because of the partnership with the city. I know it's something the city has been waiting for, and the county, we all asked for it, when is the hotel coming, when is the hotel coming? But I think, from what I've read, it looks like it's being done the right way. We've got all of the, I's dotted, T's crossed, because it is a very complicated, but it will be a wonderful addition for the city of Palmetto. Especially for their CRA. You can only imagine what this is going to do for the city of Palmetto CRA, but what it's going to do for the entire county. I think that, we took our time, but I think hopefully we're getting it right. That's what it looks like to me. I did have a question, and I just want to say it's not an easy feat. I remember Sarasota has been in pursuit of something like this for a long time. And it's not an easy thing to pull together the partnership, to have someone like yourselves come forward and be willing to take on the risk and work with two governments, It's hard enough to work with one government, let alone two governments sometimes. So thank you for that. But do you have a model that you're kind of modeling this after, kind of a project that you can think of that has this type of hotel and convention center?
So they're certainly all across the country. We've worked really closely with Spectra. I'm not sure if the Comcast Spectacor, they're one of the largest convention center management companies, and we've got dozens of use cases across the country that have helped us, and we've got their model, we've got their financial pro formas, we've got a lot of information, and they've been absolutely instrumental to helping us figure out some of the feasibility and due diligence behind the scenes to make predictions for room nights and things like that. So to answer your question, yes, we do have.
Good. Good. And City of Palmetto, have your city council, have they had the chance to review and give a thumbs up to this? I don't know if you're planning on speaking or not, but I just wanted to make sure that it's passed muster with the City of Palmetto and your CRA board.
We did want the mayor to be able to come
Okay.
up and say some words about the city of Palmetto's involvement. So I don't know if now's the time. Would you like for her to?
We still have some commissioners on the board. Do you mind?
I can wait.
Okay. All right, sure.
I need to ask him a question.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, my
Just a second.
Yeah, Charles?
Yeah, well, and I can yield the rest of my question, but I want to get this to the forefront. Do we have an idea of what potential, how many jobs that we're talking about that this potential for this hotel?
Yes, it's certainly for the hotel operations, we're in close to around the 400 number for the actual hotel operations. It gets complicated. We haven't had our full feasibility study done that's going to document all of the construction jobs because we will be utilizing local subcontractors, et cetera. So there's still a little bit more due diligence to give an exact number or representation, but it's definitely in the hundreds, and it is going to obviously make an economic impact to the community.
So to be local opportunities for people, for full-time jobs with built and stuff like that in the local area there?
There will be definitely local opportunities for employment through this development project.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll yield my questions to the mayor speaks.
Mayor, come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to kind of start off, we, as well as this commission, has been involved ever since December of 2014 when we revised our comprehensive plan. So we've all been looking forward to today when we could roll it out and start the first of many, many documents, I'm sure, between all the different entities that have to come forward. But I would say that our commissioners, like many of you, you knew this was in the works. You knew about the invitation to negotiate, not so much into the finite details, because a lot of those things will have to be in those future documents, and they will have to be tweaked between our attorneys. And they've spent a lot of midnight oil already, because it's one of those things for the attorneys. It's hurry up and wait, because, you know, as some of the details are coming together, they've had to finalize that and formalize that. So it comes forth, and it really makes sense, and it's the best thing for all parties. Indeed, this is going to be a great addition for the city of Palmetto. We're very much looking forward to it. We realize it's going to be a lot of work on everybody's part. We think that the invitation to negotiate has brought forth a very responsible party. We've also met with them, and we're just looking forward to the day we break ground and have all those smiles on our faces and bring the shovels out. So we're looking forward to it. It's a great team, and we just want to be cooperative and help move the project forward. So thank you. Oh, did you have any questions?
We still have several commissioners on the board.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to come back up.
Yeah, trust me, I'm sure you will. Commissioner Smith, do you want to continue, sir?
Yeah, if everything works out, the negotiation, the land lease deal, the partnership, which I've been for years, private partnership, public partnership is the way to go for capital reasons and for incentives. So I think that is great from this standpoint. If everything moves like it should, based on what take place, when do you think you actually can break ground for something like this?
It's a great question. Our development schedule is documented as a 27-month development schedule, but I can tell you that based on the fact that we've had some time to be doing some work while we're doing these negotiations, we're well ahead of schedule of that. So within 27 months upon approval of the master development agreement is our plan as a developer.
I think the location offers great opportunity for the hotel. It couldn't be in a better location. With us having a shortage of rooms and with you close to the interstate, you got Sanctuary Cove there, potential for development. I think this was spurring development in all different directions and stuff. And with the opportunity for jobs and things like that for local employment, I think it's a great opportunity. Certainly, I look for my former colleagues over there, the mayor and Councilman Davis and all of them, Commissioner Davis, to really look at this issue as something that can, in my opinion, we talked about it for years, can double the size of that city. Can double the size of the population. You got plenty of rooms for development. And so thus far, I like everything I see.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
All right.
And it's in my district, so I mean, what I'm going to say,
All good.
It's all good.
Good thing.
It's a good thing.
A good thing. I'm next on the board, and I got to tell you, I read about this the other day in the newspaper, and that's how I found out about this. So, I was amazed that it had come this far. But I got just a few questions. You mentioned the Sheraton. Is that deal confirmed? I mean, is it a?
We needed to.
Are we with that?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason for the master development agreement is that we needed to secure our position as developer before we can finalize a lot of our further agreements that we need with the brands, and some of our financing obviously is tied to that. So this is really the first step towards that, but I can tell you we are operating under an LOI, and they've been a great partner of ours, and we have every reason to believe that we'll be able to continue. Fact is, that's one of the first light items on my development schedule. As soon as we do have the development agreement, is to let go of the attorneys to finalize our documents with Starwood.
Okay. And then something else that I really found intriguing that I mean, this whole thing is just amazing, just so you know. But you mentioned a water taxi. Can you kind of
Well, obviously, it's conceptual still, and I said we still need to develop the program. But through our partner here with Mr. Teitelbaum and having some time over on the beach.
Best.
Yes, he is. He's been instrumental, obviously, to us as well. But the plan is to actually have a water taxi. We're probably going to have to do it from one of the marinas, where we'll shuttle to the marina, and then we'll actually have a water taxi, bring guests and their families over to the beach by Mr. Teitelbaum's property. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's music to my ears. Love hearing that. All right, and then I know we went over the ground leases. I mean, they're not confirmed yet, but you guys are working on that, and it's almost done, I'm assuming, from what I'm hearing.
We have the groundwork laid out, and we understand what the understanding is, I guess, is a good way to put it.
There's a 90-day window in the
Right.
thing for us to get it done, unless we just agree to extend that for some reason. But I think we've identified a lot of the issues, and again, I think we all see a path forward to get through those details, but that's always the difficult part.
You know, when I was briefed on this a little bit yesterday, and I think my first question to Dan was, is this a full service? And I was ecstatic to hear, yes, it is. So that's truly, wow, it's wonderful to know. But I do have one question too. You mentioned an entertainment zone.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is that?
Well, what we realized is we needed there's been several renditions of the actual development plan till we finalized, or this is fairly close to our, it's still conceptual, but this is fairly close to our final plan or design. And what we realized is that there needed to be a connector between the hotel and the convention center, so that they all feel like one. It's a headquarters hotel. So we initially had actually even a grander plan for a bigger entertainment zone to be able to do like a huge event center type thing on that property that we have in escrow. But obviously, after some additional due diligence and the additional parking garage requirements and the financial feasibility just wasn't there. So we realized we needed to tone it down, but there needs to be a connection between the convention center and the actual hotel. So the idea of this is going to be a kind of a space where convention goers and their families can kind of congregate. There'll be, Lord willing, a Starbucks. That's kind of on our plan. That is on our agenda. But then also some additional dining and maybe bar and grill options, as well as other, higher end retail maybe in there as well. And so it's really just the overall design. And again, we have to release our. We have a specialty market consultant that we have to finalize launching again upon execution of the master development agreement. We're going to get him going. He's already started some work, but he's going to help tell us a little bit more specifically what needs to go in this connection space. We just knew that there needed to be a connection there. And again, the entertainment kind of idea with big LCD monitors kind of connecting the courtyard that you see on the site plan there. There's going to be some big LCD monitors, of which I've already been kind of doing some research on who we're going to go with there. So the idea is really just a place to hang out between the hotel and the convention center.
Cool. Wow, sounds wonderful. All right, Commissioner Chappie.
Yeah, this is one of those oh wow moments. And I know there's a lot of different things that have brought us to this point, but one of the major things that happened in the past, and it's that idea of vision, people, leaders in our communities understanding and having that vision and recognizing the opportunity. And when Palmetto created their CRA, and we love our CRAs because we know what they can do for economic development in our communities where it's really needed. And the Palmetto CRA has been at a sprint for the 8 years I've been in here and doing an amazing job. And recognizing those opportunities and having the community leaders, the municipalities, and the county, which hadn't always been in the past years ago, working together to better our community. And that's what we understand here in Manatee County. It is about the whole community. We have our little entities here, but it is really, truly one community, and we understand that we need to have that vision and recognize the opportunities, because we want to help to create the jobs. We want to help to create a community with the quality of life, and this full-service hotel is one of those big moments in our community's history, and huge for Palmetto. And I just want to congratulate everybody involved. I understand we have a lot of hurdles to cross, to jump over, I should say. And we're going to do it because we have that heart and we want to do it, and we have the right team in the right place. So I appreciate it. I thank you, and I look forward to when this thing opens up. So you're telling me the 2017 rowing, it's not going to be done then, right?
No, unfortunately
Maybe the
not, but-
Olympic trials down there, huh?
Yeah.
Olympic trials.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
if I could comment back on that, I mean, there's been references to working with the two different municipalities. I have to tell you, as kind of a third party, an observation that I made relatively quickly is that both entities, all of our entities, we all have a common goal.
Yes.
We all want to see a hotel built there. And without the incentives and the support of the CRA and the city of Palmetto, it just wouldn't be feasible to do this project. And so they really have stepped up and recognized what their role is and the significance of their support in making this possible. Because the reality is, in my opinion, it wouldn't be possible without those incentives, so.
And by the way, we have a water taxi floating dock facility in Bradenton Beach. You
Okay.
get all the amenities out there and the free trolley. It's all connected. The whole community's connected. And
Great.
this is a big part of that.
And I really look forward to getting involved in that more, and myself and my team will definitely be attending the Chamber of Commerce and all the other,
And
business
Maria,
entities.
too. Holmes Beach.
John will help you.
We're ready for you on the
He'll have
island.
connections out there.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner DeSabatino.
Yeah, great information and energy and nice partnerships. We saw partnerships this morning with Sarasota County. Just have a couple logistic questions. You said you have 250 rooms that you're projecting. And so my question, I guess, is to Dan, how many parking spaces do we have now? And then how many will be created? Make sure we have enough for our purposes and then for your purposes as well.
I can answer. Do
It's
you
on
want to
there.
answer?
We have about 1,000 parking spots right now.
Okay.
With this conceptual site plan, we should pick up another 200 and still cover what the hotel needs. As you all know, there's certain times of the year where we run short. Back in the day, we used to park along the curb on Haven Boulevard. The mayor would shoot me if we did it this time. But parking will be sufficient and very important to this process.
Right. And on your conceptual plan, I see the street, 7th Avenue. Is that, that's a proposed connector?
Yeah, we, working with the city of Palmetto, that's important to all of us to get that done and connect 7th to Haven Boulevard. So the developers knew right out of the gate that we wanted to push that through. And that would be another objective that's been lingering around for a long time, to package that and get that done. So we expect that to be part of the final agreement.
Okay, so that'll be part of that, and then the blinking light will get turned
Go
on
away.
eventually.
Go away and it'll be a regular light. That's the story with all of us,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
If I could just comment on that, didn't DOT say, once the road was built, that we could put a light in? It's
Actually,
already
that's
been
my
put in writing,
understanding.
isn't that correct, Dan?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. If I could make one clarification here too, though. The agreement that you're looking at, the master development agreement, doesn't include anything about requiring 7th Street or anything like that. That will be worked out with the city and the developer. What our agreement does do is, in our land lease, we will make sure that right-of-way to connect to where the edge of our property is over to Haven Boulevard is allocated out as right-of-way and kept for that purpose.
Yeah, and I can comment real quick on the 7th Street extension. We have spoken with the city kind of at length about the extension, and we do realize all of the things that need to be done to accomplish that, and that does include, obviously engaging a traffic study, and, I've recognized personally that is, a bit of an eyesore coming into town here, so we're going to address that as a developer, obviously with the assistance of the city.
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. When you look at the history, and I know that the mayor was there when we was on the city council at the time, and we took a lot of heat for expanding the CRA zone to stretch where the Civic Center is located in what is now Riviera Dunes. If you're not aware, it was all vacant land. There was nothing there. And so, along with the mayor, who was a council person at the time, we had the vision to vote to expand the CRA zone specifically for what we have coming now. Riviera Dunes would not be there. No potential, you mentioned incentives from the CRA, Community Development Agency. You wouldn't be looking at this land. And this just shows you what it does. And so when the revenue comes back into the CRA, they can continue to do what they need to do for us, removing slum and blight. The extension of 7th Street would create other opportunities for development there. I know as a city commissioner, I talked to a Fortune 500 company that was looking at developing there, but their caveat, they wanted a hotel. And they were looking at property right there in the River Dunes area, and still is looking at property. So I know they're going to be very happy that that hotel is coming, because that's one thing that they wanted to have there. And so I'm excited about what's taking place. I do know that my colleagues will make sure that 7th Street extension goes through, because the residents of Riviera Dunes very seldom comes across in West Palmetto because of that road. They go directly straight to Braden or Ellerton. So I think it opens up a way for other people to actually cross that highway and do what should have been done years ago. And I know we've been working on that street, the 7th Street extension, for many years, trying to get it done. So this is a good, definitely start. And so I'm excited about moving forward with this here. And you know, when this here is developed, from that standpoint, the number of jobs and everything, the tax revenue that's coming back in, the partnership with the Civic Center. It's a win situation with the Civic Center, because now the Civic Center has a full-service hotel right there. Yeah.
Convention Center, come on,
You
Charles.
know, I don't
Come on, Charles, it's your district.
I don't pronounce the whole name still. I'm still north of the river, so that's why I'm saying that. The Convention Civic Center.
$3 already.
Over there.
Charles.
I don't pronounce, y'all trying to change the name a little bit, you know what I'm saying, so I won't say the whole name. But anyway, I think what takes place now is beautiful what takes place with that, because of the vision with this hotel that you have. I know one of the main thing to get state convention, even doing FAC, it has to be a full-service hotel. And we don't have that. You know what I mean? It has to be a full-service hotel to be the main facility, or you can't even apply for it. And the Civic Center, wow, this here is really powerful for the Civic Convention Center.
Convention Center.
Convention Center.
You got it.
District.
I'm not gonna mention Bradenton, even though, but, but wow, they get some things that they never could even get to the Civic Center.
Convention,
At
$5.
all. The mayor know why I'm doing this, but
No, don't do it.
Hey, we give
why you're doing it,
Mayor,
Charles.
help
some
me
money
with
at our chambers to say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Commissioner Smith, he has it right on point. This is what a CRA is for.
Yeah.
It's what that's why it was created back in the day in 1984. And that's when, in 85, when ours came into existence. And we have expanded it. We've tried to look to the future and how to best utilize the tools that come along with the CRA and the statutes. We have been very mindful of it. In fact, most of my commissioners have gone to receive FRA training and are certified about CRAs. In fact, Commissioner Smith.
I will be there.
As well.
Yeah.
So our staff that work with the CRAs, they also have done that. We've tried to be able to learn what the tools are and how to best use them, do exactly as the law says. So I do have to say one thing, though. I know that our CRA director, he's under the weather, he's recuperating. I know he's very sad he couldn't be here today. So
Huge day for him.
it is a huge day for him, and I'm sorry he couldn't be with us today, but I've been sending him a little text, you better get up and get going fast. So at any rate,
Jeff, get up and get going.
we are very excited about today.
We are too, finally.
Commissioner Smith, did you have anything else to add?
No, I just want to, I'm very excited for Elliot and his staff. You know, we disagree on something, but boy, he busts his butt. Now, one thing about it, he can sell anything, man. But I am excited about what the potential is now with the different events that you can get there. I mean, I really am, because to be honest with you, I had a couple of family unions, and we have 200 or 300 come to our family unions. And one of the holdbacks is that I love Braden, but I refuse to go and get the rooms in Braden because I say it's Palmetto. And they want to have it in Palmetto, but a year from now, we're bidding on that.
Let me just take 10 seconds and say this, and you've heard me say it about the sports tournaments. This is another what I call economic stimulus familiarization tour. We've all been to conventions and conferences, and you go there because that's where the conference is.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you say, wow, I didn't know it was like this. Let's come back for vacation. 94% of the time, first-timers come to the Bradenton area, they come back again for vacation. So yes, will new dollars come in because of this corporate headquarters hotel? Absolutely. But guess what? They're going to come back again, and then they're going to move or buy a business here, and then they're going to buy real estate here. So it packages really, really well. That's the big picture that makes it so exciting.
Commissioner Chappie?
Yeah, Commissioner Smith mentioned something that he's the only one that's mentioned it so far, but it needs to be repeated. Elliot, you are a major reason we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
You have taken your position, and you have, at lightning speed, have moved forward so fast and so rapid, and the quality of work and the team that you have assembled is amazing. And we are so proud of what you've done and will continue to do for the county. And we're going to hold you to continue to do. You're not going anywhere. So thank you, Elliot.
You all are too kind, and you beat me to it. It's not about Elliot.
No.
It's about who works in the Convention and Visitors Bureau Department. I'm surrounded by hard-working experts that really manage me. It's about our Tourist Development Council. It's about the David Teitelbaums that are stakeholders that just get it. They know how to rebuild a community and all the municipalities. So it is a total package partnership, with the Dan Schlantz of the world and the Karen Windens. Without all this partnership, Elliot's nothing. And I'm just a little piece of the puzzle that's on the train with everybody else. But thank you. Your team at the CVB will continue to work hard. And failure is not an option here. We're going to get this done one way or another because the attitudes with everybody is in the right area. Thank you.
And we're going to get it done quicker than it took us for the Fort Hammer Bridge.
Let's hope so. Years, no.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point.
Commissioner Whitmore?
And I want to take again a moment to thank Larry Bussell. 2006 November, he was at our doorstep, very upset. All of us sat around the table for a whole day or a whole evening, and he didn't give up. And then he, as you know, became a county commissioner, and it went on from there. So this has been a really, really good project. I'm just so glad we finally figured it out. We really want this to work. And Mayor, you come to our meetings, I come to your meetings, and I'm hoping. And I don't know how you keep your board informed of how things are going. I just hope they support this. And I hope, you don't vote, do you, Mayor? Okay, so I don't know. I know in my city, I met with the commissioner and maybe even the commissioner and the developer ahead of time, so maybe some of their concerns will be addressed. But, we've been waiting for this a long time. And like Elliot said, failure's not an option. We need a hotel north of the county. We don't have one. I know IMG, I read in the paper, is going to be building one, but that's not north of the county. We need a hotel north of the county. And the mayor is really good at pulling her group together, but I just really hope it goes smooth.
I just want to comment on that. You're absolutely right. I don't have a vote, and that's a wonderful tool
I know
for
it
me
is.
because we
talk.
can meet with our individual commissioners, and that is what we had planned to do as we move forward on each phase of this, to meet with them each individually and with the developer as necessary to get all their questions answered. So we want to make sure they're fully informed and they move forward in an educated, have all the data and move forward. And the meetings go a lot easier. This is a big deal for us. And I want it to go very smoothly, and our commissioners do too. They're very excited about it.
And that's the advantage of a strong mayor form of government. I know when I was mayor, I could meet with my commissioners individually, go through the agendas, and get people that they wanted to talk to, address their concerns. And so I'm glad to hear that, because I really think, you know, again, failure is not an option. We've talked about this ad nauseum for so many years. It's time to move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
We're ready.
I know. We'll do whatever we can to work with you, I'm sure.
Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. You know, piggybacking off of that, I wanted to address Mayor Shirley Groover Bryant and all the work that she's done with this hotel. I know her and I met about 4 months ago about this hotel, but I tell you what, she's been fighting for many of years to bring a hotel there, and she had to fight against obstacles and other issues getting in the way from this standpoint. But it's a testament to the city commission over there to move this forward, and I know she's personally busted her butt, and I know she said she was going to get it done. She's got 4 years, and the beauty of her position, not only does she serve as the CEO, she serves as the town manager, and she can talk to her board, and she don't have a vote. But what she does is have the skills to negotiate, and she's an expert at doing that. And so I just want to thank the opportunity, because I live in the city of Palmetto, and so does Mayor Bussell. And so I'm very proud of my city, that they're moving forward, because we talked about if we ever can get a hotel, what it actually means for the city of Palmetto. It means a lot of jobs. It means expanding the tax base, expanding the revenue, getting companies flying in now to do other different things. And I think this hotel is just a start of future hotels now. I just want to say that. And to Commissioner Davis, you just keep doing what you're doing. You got 4 more years too. And I'm convinced that you're going to be a great city commissioner. You've always, since I've been a county commissioner, always gave me expertise and keep me in touch what's going on in the city and stuff. And so I will start attending your meetings. Also, you know, I told you I just didn't want to get in the way of my brother at first, but I will start attending. I know Commissioner Whitmore has
Work
been,
sessions,
yeah, considering the work sessions and everything, but I will start getting to some of your meetings. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Benek.
Yeah, and you know, we look at the improvements that we put into the convention center, you know, and I'm sure at the time, there were probably people that questioned, you know, why are we putting in such an investment into the convention center? But it's important to be able to have this vision. You know, and the county's had the land there, and the parking, we all knew the parking wasn't going to stay the way it was. It didn't make sense. But I'm really glad to see a realistic plan, because we've seen some unrealistic plans. We know that structured parking is very expensive. We know some of the issues, or some of us know the issues with that land there. We followed it over time. So I'm really glad to see a very realistic plan that can be accomplished, you know, and if in the future there's need for future expansion that would justify that kind of investment, then you could make that kind of investment. You could have underground, you know, stormwater treatment. Not done very usually in Florida because of the huge expense, but I think it's great to see that we have a very realistic plan. You know, the county is held out for a long time, I think, for the right project. So I hope that this is it. I really look forward to getting down to the details. And in terms of the CRA, you know, that's, you know, you need to put a CRA together when you have vacant land, and you have to see the vision, because that's what creates the, you know, increment in the tax revenue. You know, I had the opportunity when I chaired our CRAs to attend the Florida Redevelopment Council training with Jeff Burton. He kind of took me under his wing. I've been to some of that training before in my private life, but I had the opportunity to go to that and to look at some of the deals that are being done. They're very complex deals, but you have to have that. And so where we have the incentives coming from the CRA and the land coming from the county, it's working out because we have that partnership. And then you're bringing to the table your risk, your investment. I think the taxpayers in Manatee County are very well protected with this kind of a deal. We don't we're not putting the big investment in, we're bringing the land to the table. And then the city is going to see, once it becomes part of the city, they're going to see the tax base that they need in order to justify their investment. So it is a complex deal, and I appreciate you being open and honest with us about, what your concerns are as we continue to move forward, because it's going to be important to be able to ink this deal and get it done and get it constructed. So thank you.
All right, before I open this to public comment, I just want to say congratulations to the city of Palmetto. I know that you've worked very, very hard, and it's a really happy day. And it's huge for all of Manatee County. And I can't think of anything that would be of a better use for the land than building this full-service hotel. So it's a great day in Manatee County. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and open this to public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward? Come on down. Just state your name and you'll have 3 minutes, please.
Catherine Edwards. Well, what a tremendous opportunity. It's really a pleasure to see stuff like this proposed. And potential is limitless. I would urge commissioners to consider, I applaud the suggestion to rename it the Convention Center from a Civic Center. And I would urge the commissioners to consider also maybe adding athletic training facility to this. He mentioned that it was having a Sheraton convention configuration. So that would suggest that 18,000 square foot of space was space that might actually compete with the space in the convention center. I'm not opposed to the 18,000 square feet, but the county has been talking about pool in the northern part of the county, and this is just barely in the northern part of the county on the river. But a cold water Olympic-sized athletic pool there would, I think, be the first cold water pool in the county that would be legitimate for serious Olympic training, even though our altitude's low. The track, an outdoor track in the area that's suggested for parking, of Olympic caliber is another suggestion that I would urge to be considered in some future plans, if not the immediate plan, and it expands the capabilities of this from just conventions to athletic events as well. The convention center space would be an excellent place for gymnastics, and doesn't have to be for gymnastics all the time. And lastly, just to the west is a park. Instead of ignoring it in this development, a land bridge between this facility and the park across the street might be worth considering, simply because it would draw attention to the facility and open the park, and I believe the park goes to the river. So people who are staying there could actually enjoy nature at the same time, directly across from the facility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to come forward? Not seeing anyone, we'll close public comment. Commissioner Bussell?
Well, it goes without saying that it's pretty neat to have a full-service hotel in Palmetto, and the only one in Manatee County.
That's right.
True.
it speaks well for the city of Palmetto and for the group that's been mentioned here today already about, it's a lot of tough work. I know what you've been through, and I appreciate what you've been doing. And, you can juggle 6 balls. It just takes a little longer sometimes. You got to pick up a few every now and then. But you're well on your way, and if there's no objection, I'd like to make the motion to approve the recommended motion.
Second the motion.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bussell with a second by Commissioner Smith. Mr. County Attorney, did you have anything to add before we vote, sir?
I'm sorry, Dan was whispering in my left ear. You were addressing me, Madam Chair?
Sure, blame it on me.
Stop whispering in his ear. You were on the board.
Yes, and I think my timing is quite perfect here after the motion has been made. I'm reminded of Don Henley's song, The End of the Innocents, in which he says that the lawyers shall address all the details. So I have just a couple of very minor observations to make about the contract document and a couple of suggestions, and I will work from the end of the document toward the beginning of the document. Today, we were handed a more up-to-date conceptual site plan bearing yesterday's date, which actually contains some greater detail than the one that is attached to your agenda item and labeled as Exhibit B. For example, they've added a porte-cochere here. And so I would suggest, assuming no objection from the developer team, that we substitute that which was handed out today as your new Exhibit B, which actually has arrows that extend all the way to each amenity. The old one, the arrows did not extend all the way to each amenity, and plus they've added the porte-cochere. So I'm getting a nod of the head from the developer representative.
We are in agreement, sir.
We can substitute that page for the conceptual site plan, which is part of Exhibit B. And then finally, moving up toward the very top of the document, my mouse is not cooperating. In any event, it is on page 2 of the contract document. There is a, thank you, Carol. There is a blank. Focusing on page 2 of the contract document, there's a blank that needs to be filled in. It is the definition of conceptual project plan for the hotel. It means the plan presented to the county on blank 2016. Again, assuming no objection from the developer team, why don't we go ahead and insert yesterday's date such that that date will square with the date of the conceptual site plan document?
We're in agreement.
All right, those are my only observations.
right.
I think that Mr. Schlant had a little something to say about Assistant County Attorney Bill Clay.
Mr. Slant, what did you have to add, sir?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Clegg, who's hanging out there in the back. He has considerable expertise in these types of deals. We've relied on him greatly to this point, and we are going to rely on him even more going forward. So he's done a wonderful job for us, and we appreciate it.
Madam Chair, may I, one quick thing that I wanted to update. Steve made, I just wanted to make sure that there was a clarification on the development schedule, on the question of the development schedule. Our overall development schedule to completion of construction to COO is a 27-month schedule. If the question was when we're going to break ground, I believe that we'll be able to break ground within 7 months.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, does that help clarify? I'm sorry if I didn't get straight to that. Yeah, the overall development plan is a 27-month development plan. So just wanted to clarify that.
We can do like they're doing at rowing and get a little time clock up.
Yeah.
Your district commissioner will make sure you get it.
You better believe it. I got a good mayor, the former mayor right here. We're going to get it done.
All right, and before we go to vote, I should recognize Priscilla Trace is in the audience, and also Gary Tibbetts from Congressman Buchanan's office.
Oh.
Everybody wants to be here for this today. That being said, we have a motion to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It is approved. Full-service hotel.
Yay.
First in the county. Well,
Big day.
maybe
Well,
the
very
beaches.
much.
Yeah,
Got 90 days to get there.
yeah. Congratulations, all. Thank you.
Yay. Finally.
All right, that being said, that is the end of our agenda. So this meeting is now adjourned.
Oh, you already did. Already good. Fine with me. I'm, hey, pregnant,